Today's episode of Lee's Unpopular Opinions is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is a website and app that lets you host and distribute your podcast. If you haven't already heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Allow me to explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor itself will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to Lee's Unpopular Opinions podcast, where I give my unpopular opinions, thoughts, and hot takes on things. First of all, I want to give you guys a really big thank you. Thank you to all the new subscribers to the podcast. Thank you to all the new listeners as well. I really appreciate all of you guys. Also, I got a new follower on Instagram, and I'm really excited about that. So shout out to whoever followed me. You're honestly so awesome, and thank you so much. And shout out to my new subscriber on YouTube as well. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I want to really emphasize how much I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to listen to my podcast. It really means a lot to me. Secondly, I had to put a hold on uploading my podcast on SoundCloud because I learned that after you upload a total of 3 hours on SoundCloud, you have to pay $12 a month in order to continue posting. And this podcast does not make me enough money yet so I can do that. So I would rather wait until my podcast is making enough money to the point where I can spend $12 a month on SoundCloud Pro. But yeah, unfortunately, I have to put a pause on uploading my podcast episodes on SoundCloud. But they're available on so many other platforms as well. So, as whatever platform you're listening to this to, I think the link tree is connected to there. So just go to the link tree to find whatever platform works for you. And lastly, I am so sorry that I haven't been a consistent poster. I've been trying to find a specific week for posting, but I just haven't been able to find one. I don't know. I'm trying to be more consistent. I guess I just have been lazy with trying to be consistent. I don't know. But I'm getting back and I'm getting better. I guess it's just because I have a lot of things on my plate right now, and I'm trying to find I guess I'm trying to be better in time management and find a consistent day to post. I guess I'll aim for bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. I feel like that would be really good. I gotta make sure that I post more, and I guess if I post more consistently, I'll gain a lot more followers and subscribers that way. And if anyone else has any other suggestions about how to grow my fan base, feel free to let me know in the YouTube comments or the Instagram comments or something, All right, so now that all of that's said and done, let's get into today's podcast. In today's episode of Lee's Unpopular Opinions podcast, we are going to be talking about the raging debate of skinny versus fat and skinny people versus big people, fat shaming, fit culture, diet culture, body shaming, fat phobia, and basically the whole spectrum of the body positive movement and fat phobia conversation and stuff like that. First off, let me start off with an introduction to what really started this debate on social media and society today. So in society today, there's so much pressure to be considered thin and have a perfect body and stuff. Or there's also pressure to have huge boobs and a huge butt and a little waist and little thighs or whatever the case may be. And oh, excuse me. And it's hard for people in bigger bodies to love themselves. It's hard for anybody to love themselves, but if people are constantly and consistently reminding you that your body isn't considered good enough for society, then obviously that's going to have an effect on your self-esteem, you know what I mean? Even though everybody struggles with, body acceptance, it's harder sometimes for people in bigger bodies to love themselves because society constantly tells them that they're not beautiful. And it's not okay for people to be told that they're not beautiful just because of, what they look like, or just because what they look like isn't to society standards. We all deserve to feel beautiful and feel good about ourselves, and people don't deserve to be considered ugly just because they're not like a US size 2, you know? So I think people realize that there is, a lack of self-esteem in bigger girls, and thus the body positive movement began. The body positive movement is a movement on social media that is meant for people to feel confident in their own body, remind people that all bodies are beautiful and we are all beautiful in our own way. It helps girls feel that they're good enough, and well, even guys too. I've seen body positivity for guys too, but I mean, it's mainly geared towards girls, but I believe in body positivity for all people. But it helps people feel that they're good enough and that they don't have to have like a certain type of body type to be considered beautiful or good enough, and they don't have to develop an eating disorder in order to be considered beautiful, and all of that and that whole spectrum. And yeah, and it's something I agree with fully. Someone who's thin with a small butt and small boobs should not feel pressured to like change their body to be like considered sexy, to like have huge boobs and a huge butt just to be considered sexy. And also people who are a bit like curvier on, the thicker side do not have to be like an extra small size just to be considered beautiful. Regardless of size, we are all considered beautiful and we all should be considered good enough. And the same goes for guys too. We should all be, just considered handsome and, good enough. All bodies are good bodies. We should all be considered beautiful and good enough. And before I start off with my opinion about this, I just want to say that I myself am a plus-sized woman, and I have been for a couple of years. I'm on a weight loss journey though, and I already lost some weight, and I'm in the process of losing more. And I love the body positive movement for making people feel like you don't need to be a size 2 to be considered beautiful. Um and honestly, I commend them for making sure that more people feel represented in the media in terms of their body, so they don't feel so alone, so they don't feel like, oh wow, I'm the only person who has this body and may not be good enough. I Yeah, and then, they're making sure that that doesn't happen, and I really commend them on that. Um but I feel like sometimes the body positive movement goes too far. In my opinion, I think the body positive movement does make good points when it comes to the problems with diet culture and eating disorders and stuff like that. And I also agree with them that all bodies are beautiful. I think the movement is, great in that. But I think the movement is wrong for sometimes bashing skinny people and fit people and people who go to the gym a lot, or people who just, you know, are thin. I think that's wrong to make fun of someone because they're thin, because I think it's just as wrong to make fun of someone because they're big. I think both sides of the spectrum is wrong. And I also don't like when the body positive movement makes people feel bad if they don't it makes people feel bad if they want to become healthier, or if they want to like lose weight. I mean, as long as the person in question, that's trying to lose weight and trying to become more healthy is, doing it in an unproblematic way, and as long as they're not like glorifying eating disorders or anything like that. um I really don't like when certain people, not all people, but certain people in the body positive movement make it seem like people are in the wrong for diet and exercise. But on the other hand, on the other side of, the coin, I think fit people sometimes, or like thinner people, um take the anti-body positive movement too far sometimes too. And I hate how they treat bigger people. And especially bigger people that are trying to lose weight. I don't like that either. Honestly, I think both slim and bigger people, like skinny people and bigger people, are both annoying in the body positive movement or anti-body positive movement as well, because there's some people who try to combat what the body positive movement is saying. I think they're both annoying because they both make their entire personalities around their body and their weight, and they both bash each other, and it's like incredibly annoying. um Bigger people, I've met some bigger people that really don't have a personality outside of being a bigger person or a representation queen for big people. And I've met like thinner people or gym rats or whatever, and their personalities are like they're just way too full of themselves, and sometimes they bash bigger people for no reason. you know um Thinner people or gym rats, not, or like not even gym rats. I don't like to use that term because, there's nothing wrong with, like, liking the gym and liking to work out, but bigger people or fit people need to learn that you can't treat people like shit just because they're not as healthy as you or as thin as you. And bigger people need to learn that some people want to lose weight and that doesn't make them a part of like the toxic body positive, movement. It doesn't mean that they're like obsessed with their appearance. It just means they like to work out, you know? I don't like when people make being fit or skinny or thin a personality trait. And I also don't like when people make being big or being fat or being chubby a personality trait. I think fit people who bash, oh, excuse me. What? Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, guys. Excuse me. I think thinner people who bash bigger people are annoying, and I think bigger people who bash thinner people are also just as annoying. Um, I think big people need to respect the fact that some people who were big people in the past wanted to lose weight, and that doesn't make them like, toxic for wanting to improve themselves, or like um a bad person for not wanting to be fat, or wanting to be like big. It just means that's what they want to do, that's their goal for their body, and that's okay. And bigger people need to respect that some people are into fitness and want to lose weight. That's just that. And also, I think that slimmer people need to respect the fact that sometimes life happens, people gain weight, and there are bigger people out there, and they deserve to be treated like human beings, and they don't deserve to get bashed or shamed 24/7. I'll explain the things that bigger people in the body positive movement do that I do not like, and then I'll explain the things that smaller, slimmer, skinny people in the body positive movement do that I do not like. So let's start off with things bigger people do that I do not like. And remember, this is coming from someone that's overweight themselves. I'm working on losing weight though. I'm already down 10 pounds, so whoopee, round of applause for me. Yeah. But anyway, so first off, my first point in the things that bigger people do that even I as a bigger person do not like, I don't get people who treat diet and exercise like it does not work. That does not make any sense to me. Like, I have seen people say things like, "Oh, losing weight barely works, or it's not possible, or it's too difficult," and blah blah. Like, people who act like that are annoying. Like, if, and now mind you, if you're discussing people with medical issues losing weight, then that's a different story, because there actually are some medical issues that make it harder for people to lose weight. But it's still completely 100% possible to lose weight. Diet and exercise is not a fairy tale. I mean, certain methods may not work for you specifically, but it still works for a lot of people. If it is not working and nothing is changing for you, or you have issues losing weight due to medical conditions, and you want to normalize that so other people going through the same medical conditions won't feel like a failure if they don't lose weight, then hey, so be it. That's absolutely valid. And I get that, because nobody deserves to feel like shit because of whatever state their body's in, regardless. And, whether they're losing weight or not, nobody deserves to feel like shit. But it is also not impossible to lose weight. If you don't have those medical conditions, or even if you do, well, I'm not a doctor, I wouldn't know, but it's not impossible to lose weight. And the people in the body positive movement need to, acknowledge and accept that. I understand the people who want to fight against unrealistic body standards, and people who want to normalize like having cellulite, or not having a flat stomach, or having stretch marks and blah blah, or not necessarily being the skinniest person like ever. I get that. But I do not understand the people saying stuff like, "Oh, any girl that's like skinny and has a slim figure and a flat stomach and works out is unrealistic, and is an unrealistic person, and is sending unrealistic body standards to the world, blah blah blah." They just work out. Like, it's not that serious. That's it. Like, they just work out. It doesn't mean that their body is unrealistic. It just means that they work out and they have a nice body because of it. I mean, if you're gonna talk about like unrealistic body standards due to like Photoshop and like allow the Photoshop and face tuning on like social media and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I mean there's discourse behind that, and like I get that, we can talk about that. I'll probably talk about that in a later episode. But if you want to talk about that, you can totally talk about that. But I don't get the people who just straight up look at people that are working out and just like exercising and dieting and, eating healthily and dieting and have a nice body because of it. I don't get how they're considered like, oh, an unrealistic body standard. Like, no, they worked hard for their body and they're showing it off. How is it unrealistic? Like, diet and exercise is real. It's not unrealistic. Like, what? Appearance has nothing to do with health, and that's important to understand. So I get like why they're saying, it's okay to not like always be the slimmest person in the world, and if you don't have, a flat stomach, or if you have a little cellulite, that's okay too, blah blah. I totally get where they're coming from, because appearance has nothing to do with health, and that's very important to understand. I'll touch up on that later in this episode, but that is important to understand. But I don't get the people who think having like a toned body due to diet and exercise is somehow impossible. Or people who have refused to acknowledge that some people bust their ass in the gym and have a banging body because of it. People like that exist. It's like they're saying, "Oh my god, I'm insecure about myself." So anybody with a flatter stomach than me or a nicer body than me is not real and setting an unrealistic body standard. Oh my god. Like what? Some people really do work out and look fucking amazing because of it. And if you don't like that, that's fine. If you don't look like that, that's fine. You're still beautiful just how you are. But some people do work out and their body shows the results of that, and they do look good because they worked hard for it. That doesn't mean you're lazy if you don't look like that, or you're a failure if you don't look like that. But some people do look like that because they work out and they eat nice. And that's okay. 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 Secondly, some people are just into fitness, and that's okay. People that are into fitness are not like promoting diet culture or promoting toxic workout regimens, or like toxic diet regimens. You know what I mean? Like, some people are just into fitness and into healthness, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're promoting diet culture or unrealistic diet standards and body standards and stuff. They're just into fitness, and that's okay. Um Bigger people who don't work out as much need to respect the fact that some people are really into fitness, and the way you live your life may not be acceptable for the way other people want to live their life. And that doesn't make you worth any less worthy of respect, or make your lifestyle any less valid than another person. But for some people, fitness and dieting is very important. That doesn't make diet culture toxic unless they're literally like telling people to starve themselves, you know what I mean? But I doubt it's that. Well, for most people. Some people think that what they put into their bodies is very important, and that's okay. Not everyone who has a nice thin body starve themselves to look how they look. Some people just work out. And thirdly, my third point that of what bigger people do that I as a big person don't like. I do not like when bigger people make it seem like big people who want to lose weight or want to like improve themselves are somehow in the wrong. Like, they'll say things like the person who like wants to lose weight is like in the wrong or submitting to unrealistic body standards. Sometimes, not all the time. Not all bigger people do this, but some people do, and I don't like that. I mean, I understand that people want to love their bodies no matter how big it is, and that's fine. But not everybody wants to like remain big, and that's okay too. And the big people in the body positive movement need to respect that. Some people, they don't want to be big anymore, and the bigger people in the movement just need to respect that. Some people, want to eat salad and eat healthier, and they want to diet and they want to lose weight. That's not toxic or anything like that. That's just what some people want to do, and bigger people have to respect that. um oh, a perfect example, Adele, the singer. She lost a shit ton of weight, and there was like so much like unnecessary conversations and discourse behind it. I mean, I do think the body positive movement made some points when they talked about the fact that her worth as a woman should not be tied to her weight. Not at all. And I get that, since there are people out there that are shaped like Adele's former body before she lost weight, and those same people that are shaped like her former body are seeing, reading all these comments that say things like, oh my god, she was so ugly before, and she looked so bad before, and blah blah. And I understand that those girls reading that, that have her former body, it's going to make those bigger girls feel bad because they feel like, oh, damn, I look like that. So I must be considered ugly or I must be considered gross. So I get that. I get how they can feel hurt to be told from millions of people that she was so much worse looking before. Like, I get that could hurt so many bigger girls. The big girls who look like how she used to look are offended because they're reading these comments like, well, hey, do I look horrible too? And that sucks. Nobody deserves to feel that way. So I get how many people had to like protect their peace and like mute the conversations about Adele and so on and so forth, which is fine. Protect your peace. Do what you need to do. If you need to take a break from social media because of that, that's fine. Do what you need to do to protect your peace. But at the same time, how do you need to like take a break from the internet just because someone who lost weight like uploaded a picture? I mean, I'm not shaming them. They did what they needed to do to, protect their peace. And I'm not going to like say, oh, do what you need to do, protect your peace, and then turn around and bash you for protecting your peace. I'm not going to do that. But like, it's just like an opinion. Honestly, how do you need to take a break from online? Or like, how are you upset or pissed off just because somebody that lost weight uploaded a selfie? Like what? Or not even a selfie, a picture, that picture of her with the black dress. How do you need to like take a break from social media because of that? Would you have a mental breakdown if a coworker of yours came to work one day after a vacation and they visibly lost weight? Why are you triggered from things that are like seen in like real life? People lose weight all the time. So why is Adele losing weight making so many people sad and upset? Like you've never seen someone lose weight before in person? Like even I'm a big girl that's working on a weight loss journey to lose weight, and I wasn't offended by Adele, the conversations about Adele and celebrating her hard work with losing her body and her praise that she got in her hard work. She lost weight, she wants to show it off. Let her you know that's what she wants to do. That's fine. And like I said, I do understand the girls that were offended because they look like Adele's former self. So seeing all the people say how she was ugly before, I'm sure that's offensive to all the girls who looked like that. But still, like if Adele herself wants to post a picture, who cares who it offends? She lost weight. She wants to show it off. And people lose weight in real life all the time. And we don't complain about that. So why complain about it on social media if we wouldn't complain in real life? You know? I don't know about anybody else, but I'll be 24 in October. And I grew up around a time where social media was still around. I think my first social media account was Bebo. And then I had a Facebook, then Tumblr, then Twitter, then Instagram. Then I deleted my Twitter and Tumblr. Now I kept my Instagram, I still have my Facebook and Pinterest, I guess. I don't really get on my Reddit as much, even though I had that. I don't get on it as much. Well, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Back to the story. I'll be 24 in October this year, and I grew up in a time where social media was still around, but it wasn't as prevalent as it was today, like before Instagram was a thing. And we couldn't like just block out the shit we saw. There were people around me in school all day long that had like flat stomachs. They were so beautiful and good looking in person. Some of them lost weight in school. Sometimes when they come back from the summer and they've been like swimming and doing so much activity over the summer, they lost weight and they lost a lot of weight and stuff. And there were so many people that like had nice bodies and were toned and had flat stomachs and showed that off in their clothes and stuff. Like that was happening all around me throughout high school. So I don't know how to be offended by someone losing weight, like because that happens in real life and there's no like you can't block that out. You can't mute a person in real life. You know what I mean? Um People, yeah, I just don't know how to be offended by someone losing weight. People, they have to learn to let people be happy and let people be. Leave your negative comments on Adele to yourself. Y'all don't even know her like that. Y'all really sat on the internet and talked about mental health and depression just because somebody lost weight. When will people stop being so damn miserable? Like she's happier now, and that's okay. And like I said, I understand the discourse behind and the conversations behind why young girls who were her former self felt offended. But if somebody just lost weight and just wants to show it off, let them. It's not that serious. Like I understand that bigger girls want to love themselves and their body, and I definitely agree. But y'all need to understand that for some people, this weight thing and like being big is something that being bigger or being in a bigger body is something that they don't want to be. They have goals for themselves and for their bodies and how they want to look, and you need to respect that. You know what I mean? Like, and some people are very conscious about what they choose to put in their bodies. That doesn't make them like um toxic diet culture people. It just means they're subconscious about what they put in their bodies, and that's okay. Like for some people, the shit you as a bigger person do, like eating, not even as a bigger person, but just let me not even say big versus small, because there are big people that eat a lot, there's small people that eat a lot. Your size doesn't define like how much you eat. But yeah, so let me not even say it like that, like bigger or smaller. But for some people, the shit you do as someone that like eats a bunch of junk food, regardless of what your body shape is, for some people, the shit you do as an unhealthy person is like the equivalent of like what drug addicts do for some people. Like for some people, they are really recovering from like unhealthy eating habits and they want to just recover and lose weight and be healthier. And that's okay. Like for some people, this food shit was an addiction to them that they're trying to get rid of, and they got rid of it and they're healthier and they want to show that off, and that's okay. Like it's just like how some people live, or the certain bodies that some people have is not certain bodies other people want to have, and that's okay. It's something they don't want to do or have, and that's okay. You love your body, and I understand and I respect that. But there are some people who came to be your size by doing unhealthy habits for them, and they want to break those habits, and you need to respect that. It's no shade to you. You can love your body, but everyone has different goals for their body weight, and you need to respect that. If your size was a size that was too big for them, then you need to respect that they do not want to be like that. Not everybody wants to be big, and people need to respect that, even bigger people. I mean, I repeat, not everyone wants to be big, and some people need to respect that. Some people really are all about fitness and really care about what they put into their bodies food wise, and that doesn't make them annoying or anything like that. That doesn't mean they're starving themselves or they're promoting eating disorders or unhealthy eating habits just because they like may do intermittent fasting or some shit like that. It just means that's what's good for their body. Like it's not that serious, and not everybody who doesn't stuff their face is starving themselves or promoting eating disorders. People should not make it seem like it's impossible to lose weight just because, the people who want to lose weight and better themselves might feel discouraged. They might be like, oh wow, I can't lose weight, it's just how it is and blah blah. And they might feel discouraged, and that's not okay. People need to understand that just do what you want to do for your body. If you do want to lose weight, great. If you're fine with how you are, that's cool too. But if you're fine with how you are, don't tell everybody else it's your size that they have to remain that size. No, if people want to lose weight, that's okay too. And to brush up on the last point, which inevitably leads me to my next point, my fourth point, I don't get the bigger people that accuse all thinner people of like starving themselves or having unrealistic like bodies. Thin people exist, and women with nice fit toned bodies exist, and I don't understand why other bigger people think that's not true. This goes out to all of like the bigger people on Twitter who cry about unrealistic body standards every time a skinny person uploads themselves. I mean, like I said, I guess it's because I grew up before social media was as big as it was. But in my day, when skinny girls pulled up in school, um, my high school didn't have uniforms, by the way. When skinny girls pulled up in schools with like their nice dresses and their flat stomachs and the tight shirts and skirts and tops and stuff, they had flat stomachs and toned legs and small arms, and there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't block it out of my mind or head or unfollow it or pretend like it did not exist like how girls on social media do. Like in my day, they were just there. They just were in the flesh, and I had to accept that um skinny toned bodied skinny and fit women or toned women with nice bodies exist. I couldn't just pretend like it wasn't like real, you know? Um I also don't like agree with how some bigger people treat smaller people, or like how some big girls talk about smaller skinny girls. Like that kind of annoys me. I mean, I get that self-love is harder for bigger girls since society says thinner, like the thinner you are, the prettier you are, you know what I mean? But Self-love is, your, issue to deal with. It's your problem and nobody else's. You know what I mean? Like, for fuck's sake, thin women exist. Just deal with it. Every girl's body is different, and having a flat stomach is not like impossible. There are thin people out there with nice bodies, and that's okay. People swear everything is Photoshop, and it's not. And like I said, I get the discourse behind, all the conversations and discourse behind Photoshop and unrealistic beauty standards on social media, and people being insecure and photoshopping their pictures, and how that has an effect on young impressionable girls and blah blah blah. I get where they're coming from. I get it. But not everybody who looks nice is photoshopped. I can't imagine how exhausting it is to think that women that are prettier than me or thinner than me do not exist, or if they're on social media, they're photoshopped or it's not real. I don't know if like that's a lie that they tell themselves to feel better about themselves, you know? Like, it's like they're saying like, "Oh, hey, she's prettier than me. So, hey, she doesn't exist because all people in the world are not prettier than me." That's literally how they think, so they don't have to accept that some girls are prettier than them. And how exhausting must it be to think that if someone looks better than you, they're like in the wrong somehow, you know? I also do not like when people bash skinny people. I hate when skinny people bash bigger people, but I also think it's just as wrong when bigger people bash skinny people. I do not like people that make fun of skinny people. Body positivity is important, but bigger girls don't need to bash other body types, especially like body types that aren't theirs. Like, well, not even especially. Bigger girls don't need to body shame anybody, and also thinner girls don't need to body shame anybody either. You know what I mean? You don't have to bash other thin people to lift yourself up. You don't have to drag other people down to lift yourself up. The body positive conversation went from like there is a lack of representation for big girls and all bigger girls are beautiful to like all thin girls are anorexic rats and all thin people are creating unrealistic body standards. Like, what? And I grew up hearing people say things like, "You're too skinny," to one of my thin friends. And I honestly, the way it really crushed her, to my former friend, I saw how people would like talk about how she's so thin. The way it literally crushed her, I just think it's so fucked up to like disrespect someone's body. You know what I mean? Like, I heard people saying, "You're too skinny," to one of my thin friends when I was growing up, but. And honestly, I truly think that's just as bad as people saying you're too big to like bigger girls. Another thing that annoys me about like that some people do like in the body positive movement, and like this is about kind of like bigger people, this is something else that annoys me. I wish plus sized people would be allowed to exist outside of their weight. I get that people are excited to see their body types, and representation is so important, but we got to stop treating people who exist and have the same body type as like representation queens, and when they're quite literally just existing. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get that people are like, "Wow, I'm so excited to see my body type on another woman because now I feel less alone or less ugly because this woman that's the same size as me is being represented in the media." That's so important. But I wish like people could like people outside of representation. You know what I mean? Like, people's personalities ultimately what matters most. And I wish like people could just exist. You know what I mean? It's like I just wish like, I mean, representation is totally great and it's so important, but like some people literally just exist and have the same body type as other people, and people are like, "Oh, representation queens," when they're literally just existing. Like, it's so wild, and out of nowhere, people just exist, and then like y'all on like Twitter and like all this other stuff and all these other platforms will give them all of these like unwarranted accolades. As if it's like y'all just give them these accolades for no reason. Like, somebody could like be like a size like a US size like 18 and just post a pic on like Instagram, and people are going to be like, "Yes, we love to see our social media queen, plus sized icon, mogul. Like, this is the next Diana Ross type of like thing." And it's just like, what? Like, all they did was exist. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm totally understanding that people love to see more representation in the media, and even I love to see more representation in the media. It's totally great. It's totally awesome. And I love seeing representation, but sometimes I wish people could like break free from being seen as just that or as solely that. Like, you know what I mean? Um and like I said before, if someone wants to lose weight for themselves, and it should be okay. And people like that take like the bigger girls in, like, that are being represented in society, people who take those bigger girls and use them as like quote unquote representation queens need to accept that. Like, for example, all of the people who like took Adele and used her as like plus size queen and our plus size mogul, now that she's lost weight, I'm sure she like they don't have her as like their plus size like representation queen anymore, but that's okay because it's her body and she can do what she wants with it. You know what I mean? um these quote unquote representation queens, they don't exist to please you. And if people who are like seen as like a representation icon or a representation mogul want to lose weight, then they can. It's their body and you can't get mad at them for losing weight. For some people, being plus size does not define who they are, and it also isn't all that they are. It is not someone's job to like for them to like to it's not my job or like my sole purpose or reason in life to represent someone else or represent a demographic. It will be that person's own body or that celebrity or influencer or what have you. It will be their own body and they're allowed to do what they want with it. It's extremely weird how like the internet treats people existing as like representation and feels the need to like codify or categorize existence. They put people in boxes depending on like what their bodies look like or what they might or something or an identity or something that they might have. And it's kind of like weird to me. Like I get like, representation. I get it. And I get like, having these different categories for people to discuss their issues, but people are more than just what they identify as. Like they put people in boxes depending on what their bodies look like, or not even only bodies, but like what they identify as, or like race wise, or like gender wise, or the color of their skin, and like, or like any all this other stuff, or sexual orientation wise. It's like a black person or a gay person or like a woman or like a trans person or whatever or what have you could literally just be chilling, just existing, and like out of nowhere, boom, they're like the beacons of black empowerment. Or like the black person would be like the beacon of black empowerment, or the gay person will be like the like LGBTQ leader, or like the woman becomes like the next like feminist icon. And it's like, can't people just exist in peace? You know? Not every single feature is an identity. I mean, the other big ones that have to deal with like the isms, like race, gender, sexual orientation, things like that. The big isms and stuff like that. Those are identities and stuff like that. But not every single feature about you is like an identity that people like find to be like such a big deal. And like for some people, what they look like in terms of like, well, we'll bring it back to like, talking about our body, well, not like race and gender and sexual orientation, because I mean those are things that people get discriminated against, so of course it's going to be a lot of their identity, but it's not all of who they are. You know what I mean? Like, oh, excuse me, what is up with me and yawning today? What the hell? Why do I keep yawning? I don't know. Sorry, but anyway, um like, can't people just like exist in peace? Not every single feature is an identity, and what people look like do not define them. And the body positive movement needs to understand that, like, okay, somebody's plus sized, okay, that's not solely who they are. That's not all that who they are. You know what I mean? So not everybody like not every single feature is an identity, and what people look like just don't define them. People don't want to be put in a box, and things that they are don't define them completely entirely as a person. I get that people are excited to see their body represented. I totally get that, and it's so important. I will always like emphasize how important it is. But why do people feel the need to like even comment on anyone else's body unless the post or whatever and what have you is specifically about their body. Not everyone not everyone who's like not a cis white straight male is like hanging out representation. Like people are just people. You know what I mean? Now that I've spoken on all the things that bigger people in the body positive movement do that annoy me, it's time for me to discuss all the things that smaller people in the body positive movement do to bigger people that annoy me as well. For starters, I do not like smaller people that act like all fat people or all bigger people are like depressed and sad and miserable. People are more than just their bodies, like I said, and people vary from person to person, like personality wise and life wise, regardless of weight. Not all bigger people are depressed. You know, like I've seen a lot of smaller people or even like really in shape and fit people who always say that like if you're fat then like you're depressed and you're miserable. And also even fit people who used to be fat, sometimes they say things like, "Oh, when I was as fat as that person, I was miserable." So everyone who is that size or is my former size is also miserable as well. And it's just like, what? You can't apply what you go through and say everyone else that's going through the same thing is the same way. I mean, even I'm a little chubby, like I said, but I'm on a weight loss journey and I'm 10 pounds down already. And, you know, when I lose weight, I'll be the same person, but just in a smaller body. Like that's it. If you were unhappy and you lived a terrible life before you decided to lose weight, or if your depression led to your weight gain, honestly, I'm really sorry to hear that. I really am. And you know, to anyone listening to this that went through a tough time or is going through tough times, I'm really sorry to hear that. But that's really not the case for everybody when it comes to weight loss and weight gain. Like I'm just like a bigger person that ate a lot and I have a really awesome life, but I'm noticing and coming to the realization I was noticing and coming to the realization that I ate too much and it's time for me to cut down. And now I'm losing weight. Like I have like my life is pretty awesome outside of that. Like I don't get the people who are like, oh my gosh, she's the fat, miserable person. Like your misery does not have correlation to your body. I mean it can, because like I said, some people like were unhappy and living a terrible life, you know, and that's what led to like stressed and like they would relieve their stress due to like eating and stuff like that, but that's not the case for everybody. You know what I mean? If you were happy and you I mean if you were unhappy and you just lived a bad life before you lost weight, or like if you were really depressed and that's why you gained weight because you were stressed out and you were always eating and stuff, like I said, I'm really sorry to hear that, but that's really just not the case for everybody. Honestly, like for me, my happy and my unhappy moments in life were just happy and unhappy moments in life. It had nothing to do with what size I was at the time. I really do not have like a depressing, sad backstory as to how or why I'm big or why I gained weight. I honestly literally just ate a lot. And now I realize like, whoa, this is too much food. I need to be more healthy about, you know, my choices. And now I'm losing weight. But you can't like people need to understand that like you can't just say, oh, all fat people are depressed and all fat people have eating disorders. Because even I'm got pretty kind of, you know, big now and my life is pretty lit. I'm living a pretty awesome life and I'm still like in the process of losing weight as well, you know? There's a lot of fat people with great lives. So clearly being fat isn't the issue. Your life is the issue. And for me, I will literally be the same person personality wise before my late weight loss and afterwards. So yeah, the whole like, oh, all fat people are depressed and miserable and blah blah. That's just like not true to me. My second point of things that I don't like that smaller people do, or like gym rats for lack of better word. I don't like calling people who go to the gym derogatory terms because like that's not like a bad thing. Like just because you like fitness doesn't mean you deserve to be called a gym rat. But you know, or just people that go to the gym or just like smaller people. One thing I dislike, my second point of what I dislike that they do to bigger people is this. I don't get former bigger people who like lost weight and hate on current big people. I see this in so many ways in person and online. But I especially and vividly remember seeing it on Reddit a lot as well. I remember when I would get on Reddit, there used to be a subreddit dedicated to people sharing their stories of how fat people have like ruined their day or like inconvenienced them somehow. They act as if like plus sized people are nothing but annoying inconveniences that exist purely to bother them. Big people are human beings just like the rest of us. Big people are not just obstacles to get in your way and annoy you all day. I mean, not only is the bashing annoying, but it's crazy how many former big people that lost weight were in that sub and joined in on the fat shaming and bashing of others. Cause like, weren't you big before? You know how much it hurts for people to like bash you, and now you've lost weight and you're gonna join in on people bashing other big people. You used to be that size. So it's just like, don't you know how it feels to be constantly bashed for what your body looks like? And then they're going to turn around and then just join in on the bashing of bigger people when they themselves used to be a big person also. Like, did they just suddenly catch amnesia and forget what life was like when they were big? I find it so appalling how a lot of them hate bigger people when they used to receive the same amount of hate for being big. They act like they just couldn't wait to lose weight so they can join in on the bashing of plus size people. And honestly, that's not cool to me. I mean, treat them the same way you wanted to be treating when you were that size, or it's not cool. My third point of what smaller people do that annoy me, or like the gym rat people, that what they do to bigger people that annoy me. My third point is that bigger people should be able to exist and like post pictures and do stuff that like regular people do without smaller people getting in and bashing them for it. Like sometimes online on Reddit, I would see like sometimes when there's a picture of an overweight person, it would be marked as like, excuse me, it would be marked as like not safe for work. But if a picture of a thin person that's showing skin, um, but if it's a picture of a thinner person showing skin or a thin person showing skin, they don't mark it as not safe for work. I would see it a lot. I would see that a lot on Reddit. Okay. Sorry. Why should it only be marked as not safe for work when a big person posts? If they don't do it to smaller people, then why do it to bigger people? How can you post a picture that isn't even sexual in nature, but is literally considered sexual just because you have a bigger body? I even saw a plus sized woman on TikTok in a bikini, and like all she did was like post herself at the beach or something in TikTok, and she was like the video was banned for like not safe for work content since TikTok is a kids app, and like all she did was post a video of herself on the beach in a bikini. They're literally like some bigger people literally are just existing and posting regular things that regular people do and regular people post, and then boom, they get bashed and shamed for it. And I don't get that. Because you know that you wouldn't do the same to a thin person. The next point that I have is I hate when people call anyone who is bigger than like a US size 2, anyone who's bigger than a person who's like a size 2 or more. I hate when they call that kind of person a plus size person. Like just because you weigh more than like a Victoria's Secret model or like Adriana Lima does not make you plus sized. You know? The criteria for plus size has gotten so much more like broader, and to me that's not okay. Just because you're not like stick thin does not automatically make you like morbidly obese. There's a middle ground, like there's an in between. Sometimes when I look online for clothes, I'll see the models in the plus size section, and in my head I'm just like, this is considered plus size? Like what? I mean, she's not a size 2, but that doesn't make her like huge. I get that like we all carry weight differently, and some people who are like plus size aren't even that big, they're just like curvy. And that's okay, but like just like I said, just because you're bigger than like Adriana Lima does not mean you're like fat or like huge. Like fat is like a spectrum, or like big or curvy or whatever. It's a spectrum. Like just because you're not stick thin doesn't mean you're like morbidly obese. And there's a difference between like a literal actual like plus size like big person and someone who's just not a size zero. Like there's a difference between someone who's like fat and someone who's just like not skinny. Like there's a middle ground. Um just because you are not stick thin does not mean you are plus sized. You can be very much in between. And I don't get the people who just hate fat people unprovoked. Some of them are just trying to make a change in terms of health, and they don't need to explain that to you either. Maybe they're losing weight, but it's just not noticeable yet, because that's the case for me. You would never know. And shame does not work for most people. And it honestly, to be honest, just makes them feel like shit. And before anyone listening to this goes, oh, well, I don't hate fat people, I just don't find them attractive. I don't think they're asking for you to find them attractive. It's fine if you don't find them attractive. I think they're asking for you to not jump on and obliterate any iota of self-confidence that they have tried to build up because you think they need to like get back in their place. Being fat doesn't make you less human, and words hurt. Being fat doesn't mean you no longer have feelings. But yeah, those are the next two. Those were the points that, sorry, I feel so tongue twisted. Those were like my last, not my last 2 points, but yeah, those 2 points are something that's like really like sticks with me. I don't get the people who like hate bigger people just because they exist. I don't get the people who call anyone who's not like stick skinny fat, because there's like a middle ground. And I also don't like people who just like look at people and see them existing and just bash them. You know what I mean? Because you would never like know like where they are in their fitness journey. You know what I mean? Like, what if that person that you're like, oh, that person is 100 pounds overweight? What if they used to be 150 pounds overweight and they recently just lost 50 pounds and you're just meeting them now? You would never know that because you're just judging them based off of what they look like, and it's not okay. It's not okay. I do acknowledge that being like morbidly obese and being overweight, it does have serious health complications. I will acknowledge that. But I don't like the people who act like being skinny automatically means you're in shape. And that leads me to my next point, that of things that skinny people do that piss me off. Um Being skinny does not mean that you're in shape. And just because you're thin or you're not like morbidly obese, that doesn't mean you're in the best shape of your life. I mean, it's basic science that like burning more calories than you earn means that you're going to lose weight. So thin people burn calories and stuff because they're thin, and they don't like gain many calories because they're thin. But like it's not always the case that they like work out and stuff. They may just like maintain the calories because they eat as much as they burn, since they have like such a fast metabolism naturally. So it's like no matter what they eat, they don't gain weight because they eat as much as they burn due to their fast metabolism. So just because someone is skinny doesn't automatically mean they're working hard, you know what I mean, to like be skinny. Some are, and some are skinny and remain skinny and due to like their lifestyle and eating clean and stuff, but not all people who are skinny worked for their bodies. So that's why I feel like when people look at bigger people and they're like, oh, fat people are so lazy, they don't they need to work hard to lose weight, and the fact that they're fat resembles the like they're like not healthy, or if you're fat you're not healthy. Okay, but there are skinny people that aren't healthy either, and a lot of people refuse to acknowledge that. So, I think that is a point that the body positive movement does make that actually does make sense. It's not about skinny or fat, it's about healthy. And that's what people don't get. You know, um, I was 160 pounds as a sophomore in high school. I think I was a size like 10. And I ran track and cross countries. That's not a big deal, but I was literally on the track team and cross country team in high school. I mean, it's not that big, but still, like, I knew people who were thinner than me and would be out of breath in gym class after doing like literally 1/10 of a mile. Like, they were literally exhausted and they were thinner than me, but I was in better shape than them and I had more endurance than them. You know what I mean? Like, there are lots of people that are big and eat nothing but trash and never work out. And there are lots of people that are small and eat nothing but trash and never work out. Like, it can go both ways. Um I was bigger than my friends in middle school and I could do like 10 push-ups in gym class and they literally couldn't even do past like 5. I was working out when I like even in middle school, like I was like taking walks with my dad and stuff. And actually, I lost 20 pounds in middle school. I was taking walks sometimes with my dad, sometimes by myself, and I lost 20 pounds when I was in middle school, you know? And I knew people who were thinner than me in gym class, even in middle school, who couldn't even do 10 push ups like straight. Like, it's so wild. And it's like, just because, and like I said, this is another point that I briefly touched up on, but I want to touch up on it some more. At the same time, just because someone is skinny does not mean they don't work hard for their body. You can be skinny and still work hard for your body, or like there are people who are thin and maintain the fact that they're maintain how thin they are by working out and eating clean and stuff like that. Um, Skinny girls can work out and work hard for their bodies as well. Some skinny girls work for their bodies and some don't. Some girls are big and curvy and work for their body, and some girls are big and gained weight just because they gained weight from eating a lot. Not all skinny people worked hard for their bodies, though. Some skinny girls get away with eating everything and not working out, and they do not get made fun of in the same way that big girls do, or even guys, too. And even the same thing with skinny guys and big guys too. Being healthy is so much more complicated than like being thin or fat. you know I mean, I'm not saying everyone is going to be like a size 5X, but not everyone is going to be skinny. And there's no specific threshold for each person on what is and is not healthy. You would never know where they are in their fitness journey. Like I said, like, say you saw a guy that was 100 pounds overweight. He could have just lost 50 pounds not too long ago. You would never know because you don't see him beforehand. So he could have been 150 pounds overweight, but he lost 50 pounds and he's working on the 100. You would never know, you know? And also, they don't have to explain that to you. Like I said, even I'm overweight, but I lost 10 pounds recently and I plan on losing way more. And oh, another like like even me, you would never know, but I'm still on a fitness journey. You can't just judge me just by looking at me. Um Another perfect example, one of my old roommates ate like a pig and didn't get a damn thing. Like, literally, he was so thin. He was so skinny. He was eating like ginger. He was eating and drinking Pepsi, ginger ale, pizza, McDonald's, fried fish, bacon, hot dogs, like all this starch and all this other stuff. Like, he would cook and make and buy every little thing under the sun. He was always ordering Chinese food and all this other stuff. Didn't gain a thing. Literally, he ate that all the time. Did not gain a single thing. Meanwhile, I was, healthy. I was cooking low fat meals and I was working out like all the time. And I was still in the process of like losing weight back then, but you couldn't tell unless you looked at me. You know, if you want to go by like the thinner you are, the healthier you are logic, then given like the example with my former roommate and me, you would have seen him as the healthier person or healthier than me in terms of appearance, when realistically it's the other way around and I'm healthier than him in terms of lifestyle. um I know big dancers and big people who do like yoga and stuff too. Also, this is something like there's people who are like who are, I've seen bigger people at literally at yoga or riding bikes and shit like that. Like, they're in the process of it and they don't deserve to be bashed while they're trying to, get healthier. And another thing I've always wondered, if you can allegedly tell people's health just by looking at them, then what about the skinny people who are like nicotine and drug addicts? There are lots of people who are thin and smoke cigarettes or do drugs, and that's terribly unhealthy. And unless you can physically see them smoking the cigarette or smelling like cigarettes or like their teeth is yellow, or unless you see them doing the drugs, then like you would never be able to tell whether they're healthy or not. So to the people who say, "Oh, the smaller you are, the healthier you are," what about the drug addicts? Because you can see big versus skinny, you can physically see that, but you cannot see physically eating disorders and drug addiction. My sixth point is, to the thin people that treat fat people like shit or see how fat people are being treated and are like okay with it. If somebody did that to like a fat person in your life that like you love, would you be okay with it? What if the person that, all of the mean people, all the people that are mean to bigger people, what if the person that they're making fun of for being fat online, what if it was somebody that you love? Then what? Like, what if it was your mom or something? I mean, I know I deleted my social media accounts, Twitter and Tumblr, like I always say, but and I told y'all that, but I still have a Pinterest. And I saw this interesting post on Pinterest the other day, and I definitely was like, oh, I got to talk about this in my podcast. I saw this Pinterest post that was a post on Twitter where this guy said, "What has the world come to? You can't even call fat bitches fat no more." And somebody in the quoted tweets brought up his mother, who is a larger plus sized woman, and said, "I hope you keep that same energy for your fat ass mama." And the mom of the guy who said that, "Oh, you can't call fat bitches fat anymore," his mom was a plus sized woman. She was bigger. And everyone in the comment section, like the comment section was very divided. A lot of people were on the woman's side, like, yeah, exactly. You sitting over there shitting on fat people, but your mom's fat. And a lot of other people were coming to like the mom's defense and stuff. And everybody, a lot of people rush to the mother's defense, but my thing is, I'm kind of on the woman's side. You're sitting over there bashing all these bigger people and bashing big people, okay, and when someone brings up your mom and your mom is a big person, don't complain because you're sitting there bashing fat people. Your mom is within the demographic of bigger, people. So, and everyone rushed to the mother's defense, but he literally just dissed big people, and since his mother's big, he's a hypocrite. Because and I'm not saying you have to be attracted to like bigger people. You don't, but you have to treat people with respect. His mother is receiving the same bashing that he gives other big people. So how come now everyone's saying, "Oh, don't bash big people"? Like what? When you say don't bash big people, that includes your big mom. And if you had a problem with that, then don't bash big people, period. Also, have you guys, okay, like I said, I'm like anti social justice warrior, but I think we can all acknowledge that like there are social issues that do need like addressing and attention, like discrimination against people of color, discrimination towards like the LGBT community and stuff like that, and like the equal undistribution of like wealth amongst like extremely wealthy people, and like the eat the rich and stuff like that. Like there are social issues that really are serious and need addressing, and even though I'm an anti-social justice warrior, I think I can address that and acknowledge that. And something I do want to say, like in terms of like sexism, even though I'm not a feminist by any means, and I'm gonna make a episode of why I'm not a feminist. I'm not a feminist by any means. But have you guys noticed, like, have you guys ever noticed that some of the people who like talk the most shit online, like fat or skinny, like, I mean, both people talk shit online, but have you noticed like all the heat towards fat people is usually towards women? Like, what the fuck is up with that? Like, shouldn't it be like fat like affects both men and women? Like, there's big guys out there equally as much as there is big girls. So why is it just like, why do people only rag on fat girls when there's fat guys out there too? You know what I mean? That's something I've noticed. And then another thing I've noticed when it comes to like being online and stuff, have you guys ever noticed that some of the people who talk the most shit about other people's bodies, even regardless of whether they're fat or skinny, those people who are talking shit, they never post pictures of themselves and they don't even have a picture of themselves in their own profile pictures. Like, you don't even have the balls to post what you look like on your social media account. So who are you to speak on what someone else looks like? You don't even have the balls to post literally yourself. You can't even post yourself or what you look like, but you're sitting there shitting on what other people for they look like. It's like, what? My seventh point would be that while I think some of the conversations regarding the health risks of being overweight are valid, I still like I said, like it's, it's dangerous. There are dangers that come with being morbidly obese, and there are dangers that come with being overweight. I think those conversations regarding the health risks of being overweight, I think that's absolutely valid. But I still think some people don't even give a shit about people's health, and they just only want to be assholes to bigger people. I feel like some people are just concern trolling because these same people that rag on bigger people never seem to concern themselves with skinny people who are starving themselves or doing drugs or doing any other unhealthy shit. They also don't care about fat girls or fat, like, people, not just girls, fat people who are losing weight in an unhealthy manner. They just want to get rid of you because they think like you're like a sight for sore eyes. And it's like, for what? Like, you have to worry about all of like the unhealthy things out there, not just one topic. And if you are not someone's doctor, you really can't tell them shit. I mean, yes, obesity is dangerous, but for fuck's sake, like, be kind. You know what I mean? Um like, be kind. Like, you don't have to agree with like their lives, with people's lifestyle, or with how people like eat as much as they do, but still, like, be kind. And if you're not their doctor, you can't just like tell them, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. Like, it needs to come from a licensed doctor. And oh, this is a really good point. I definitely want to tell y'all this one. This is another point that I've learned about, like, something that I think happens to bigger people that I don't really think is like fair. This, I kind of feel like, happens more to women, but it could apply to men too. I feel like, I'm a very like neutral person when it comes to the genders, but it's just something I've observed. It mainly happens to women, but it could happen to, guys too. I've noticed that people only complain about bigger people when they don't look desirable or sexy. When a big person looks desirable or sexy, people don't have a problem with it. Like, when somebody is like 275 pounds or 250 pounds and they're shaped like a Coke bottle and they got these big titties and a fat ass and thick thighs and shit like that, men don't have a problem with that. But when somebody is like 250 or 275 pounds and they're not shaped ideally how, like, as they're not shaped as like the ideal or desired body, then people have a problem with it. I have seen lots of women who, objectively speaking, if you look at them, could be clearly over 200 pounds, but like the weight went to like their hips and their thighs and their butt, and they receive all these compliments from men because they're curvy and sexy. You know what I mean? Like, the weight, they're overweight, but the weight went to, the right places. It went to, the hips, the thighs, the ass, the butt, and stuff like that. And they receive all these compliments from men because they're curvy and sexy. But if you put an overweight girl in the mix and like they're not like shaped like that, or like shaped like curvy and stuff like that, then all they then that's when people do all the hooping and hollering about like her weight being considered problematic, and oh, she needs to get on a treadmill and shit like that. If they gained weight in all of the wrong places, people would hate them. But if it's in the right places, people don't get mad. You know what I mean? You can see the difference in this when, oh, a perfect example. You can see this happening in real life when like Rihanna got like quote unquote thick in the past recent years. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but like in the past couple of years, Rihanna, she got a little thicker. Um, and a lot of people were like, yes, girl, she getting thick and she's so pretty and she's so sexy, and as she is, she got thick. She looks good. I mean, even her former body is beautiful. She's beautiful, in all stages of her body. You know what I mean? She's such a gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful woman. Excuse me. But I mean, if that was any other like regular person, I feel like they would have went in on their asses. Or like if they didn't gain weight in like their hips and their thighs and their butt, if they gained weight in like their stomach and their back, and like their body was like disproportionate and their body wasn't like the hourglass curvy figure, if that happened to any other person, oh, people would have went in on their asses. That's something I've always learned. And the same thing, even though it mainly happens to women, I've seen it happen to guys sometimes too. There are overweight football players. And people are so quick to like rag on people that are overweight. I've seen football players, like professional NFL football players that are overweight, and people don't complain about them. Like there are overweight athletes out there that were drafted by the NFL. People aren't something that people need to understand is that people are not healthy or unhealthy depending on what someone does and does not find attractive. Like what you find attractive is not the threshold for what is considered healthy. People can exist without being attractive to you. What gets your dick hard, or whatever gets your pussy wet, or whatever gets your butterflies in your stomach, or whatever you find attractive, is not the threshold for what is and is not considered healthy. And you can't just change your opinions on what is considered healthy depending on like what you find attractive. Like if 250 pounds is overweight, then 250 pounds is overweight. It doesn't matter if it's 250 pounds and she's like shaped with an hourglass figure and is like thick, versus like if she's 250 pounds and like she has all this weight in her stomach and she has all these rolls and all this and all this that. If 250 pounds is considered overweight to you, then that should apply to all the women that are 250 pounds, not just the sexually attractive women that are like 250 pounds or over 200 pounds. It should apply to everybody. If you think a certain weight is unhealthy, then you should keep that same energy for all people who have that weight. Also, since people are so like concerned for the fat acceptance movements or body positive movement, or say or claim that like body positive people or like big people or like big people existing is quote unquote promoting obesity, then how come they don't have that same energy for thin people? Why don't they say skinny models are promoting anorexia? The thin acceptance movement is equally just as responsible for encouraging an unhealthy lifestyle as the fat acceptance movement is. And I believe all quote unquote movements that are encouraging people to be unhealthy deserve to be called out. This includes both like morbidly obese acceptance movements and the thin acceptance movement as well. I don't understand people who seem to believe that only the big models are responsible for promoting an unhealthy lifestyle, but yet they have nothing to say about the really skinny models that are promoting unhealthy lifestyles. The same people that are in like Ashley Graham or like Tabria Major's Instagram comments that are talking about how plus size models are promoting unhealthy habits among society, blah, blah, blah. They would never say the same thing about like Candice Swanepoel or Emily Ratajkowski or like any other skinny Victoria's Secret model or thin model. Candice Swanepoel or Emily Ratajkowski are equally both, thin. So why don't they have the same energy for them as they do those other girls? I don't understand why people only have a problem when bigger people are unhealthy, because thin people can be unhealthy too. It's basically like two opposite sides on the end of a spectrum, which both equally are flawed, but people only have an issue with one side of the spectrum, but not the other. And that's weird because both sides of the spectrum are wrong. I touched upon this briefly, but I want to touch upon it a little bit more as well. This is my next point. Why does it seem, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty anti-feminist, honestly. Not all parts of the feminist movement, because like there are certain parts that like are important because women's rights, but there are certain things that feminists do that I objectively speaking disagree with. And I'll touch upon that in a later episode, like I said, but also this is something I've always wondered, and I touched upon it briefly, but I want to expand on the point. This is my next point. Why does it seem like women are like the only gender that takes a stand against the fucked up things that happen to bigger people? Like, why aren't there guys or men out there that take a stand? Like, why are all the conversations behind like plus size people and the need for more clothes, or like taking a stand against like body positivity and like plus size women defending themselves and defending their existence? And why does it mainly seem to be women fighting for that? Why not men? You know what I mean? Like, why don't men stick up more for like body positivity and like the body positive movement? You know what I mean? When issues affect both men and women, why is it just women taking a stand against it? How come like bigger guys don't take a stand against the bullshit? You know what I mean? Like, for example, all the fat shaming, like all the conversations about like why it's wrong to fat shame and bully people that are fat. Why is it mainly women that's taking a stand against that? I mainly see women going viral for taking a stand against that, but I never see guys. You know, maybe like I think that like since it's an issue that affects both men and women because there's overweight guys out there equally as much as there is overweight girls, why does it seem to only be women taking a stand against that? Like, I don't get why more guys speak out against that. You know, like when issues affect both men and women, it shouldn't have to be just women taking a stand against it. I think guys should too. Like, how come bigger guys don't ever take a stand against the bullshit? You know? And also, like, nobody is a saint with perfect self-control. Everyone has their problems, guy or girl. But like people who gain weight is not just women. There are guys out there who have gained weight too. Like, have men never gained weight before? I see all these posts about like people talking about like people need to stay in shape, people need to stay in shape, oh my god, like people need to stop like being so blah blah. And it's mainly guys, and it's usually just girls that take a stand against the bullshit. Like, bro, like yeah, people need to get in shape, but people mainly like rag on girls, you know, and people don't have a problem with like bigger guys, and like not all the time, not all the time, but just something I've seen, you know. Like I remember I even saw this Reddit post. I'm always bringing up Reddit, but I was on there for such a long time. I even saw this Reddit post, and like this big girl and this big guy, they were both big, it was a girl and a guy, and they were arguing, and someone in the comments was like, well, that big girl is taking up too much space, and she said it, and that person, the commenter, they said it as a fat joke. But the guy was clearly big too. So why didn't you make a fat joke about the guy too? Why are you only calling out the girl when the guy was clearly overweight too? You could say the same as the girl as you do the guy, but the girl was the only one that like the fat joke applied to. Like, what? And you know, in the same thing, the same medical issues that like prevent people from like losing weight a lot. Like, I mean, not saying it's impossible to lose weight with these medical issues. It's not impossible. Anyone can lose weight regardless of whether you have medical issues or not. But there are certain medical issues that could like that could like factor into like how like people possibly gaining weight and stuff. And men deal with those issues too. Like, there are men that deal with issues uh that are affected, like there are men that deal with issues like thyroid issues, hormones, medication, and stuff like that, and all these factors can be factors that affect weight gain and weight loss and stuff like that, and like body like weight gain and body. And there are men who deal with those issues as well and are affected in the same way as women are, which is like affecting like if they gain weight and stuff or not. So why do men always feel the need to like disagree with that? Not all men, not all men. I don't hate men, not at all. I don't want any of the guys listening to this to be offended, because I like love men and I love women. I love everybody. And I don't want you guys to be offended, but I've always wondered, like, every time like somebody brings up like why the fat body positive movement is like bad because it promotes obesity, it's mainly men saying that, and then women come up and take a stand against the bullshit. Why don't guys come up and take a stand against the bullshit too? Because like, aren't there bigger guys out there too? Like, if you see big people being treated like shit, why is it mainly women that take a stand against that? You know, it's wrong to treat fat guys like shit too, you know. And so, my next point on things that smaller people do, or things that bigger people have to go through that I do not like, um, I don't get people that are upset at like fat celebrities or just bigger celebrities in general, just because they exist. A perfect example for me with this would be Lizzo. Like Lizzo, like people bash her, in my opinion, for literally nothing. She isn't being annoying. She's not out here killing people or being problematic or saying and doing problematic things. She's not offending anybody. She didn't rob a bank. Literally, she just sings, dances, and plays the flute. That's all she does. She doesn't do anything worthy of hate to me. All she does is like exist, and people will not stop dragging her online. The way people are on her neck, you would think she's like a murderer or something. But all she did was like exist and be big. And for God knows whatever reason, she gets people so worked up. And I'm just like, yo, what did Lizzo even do? She's not problematic. She hasn't done anything bad or wrong, or to my knowledge, or stuff like that. You know, I don't get people that saying she's like advertising being fat or she's promoting obesity. She's literally just existing. Fat people existing is problematic to young girls. Like, and then y'all drag celebrities for things that we see every day in real life. If you're saying a bigger celebrity is like damaging to young girls see fat people every time you go to like outside or go to the grocery store or go to like the mall. There's big people everywhere. They exist and you're gonna see them in society. Like, why do people get on celebrities for things we just see every day in real life? How is your existence promoting obesity? Like, what? You know, like how is fat people or big people existing problematic to people or damaging or promoting obesity? I remember the female rapper Sweetie, she made this like weird ass McDonald's concoction on IG Live one time, and it was like, it was like this like really weird like McDonald's meal. It was just like some interesting concoction that she made. And everybody was like laughing at it or being like, "Whoa, like this is such an interesting thing that you made, Sweetie." And her name is literally Sweetie. For those of you who are listening who don't really listen to like rap music or pay attention to like rap music, her stage name is Sweetie. I'm not just saying, "Oh, this is weird, Sweetie." No, her stage name is literally Sweetie, as in, "Sweetie, this is like a weird concoction." Everybody was like talking about like, "Oh wow, this is such an interesting thing. How do you eat this?" and stuff like that. But had Lizzo went on IG Live and made the same McDonald's concoction or the same thing, the whole world would have randomly turned into like nutritionists and doctors and have been like, "Oh my god, this is so bad. You need to put this down right now. You're about to have a heart attack. You're about to have a seizure. Your cholesterol levels. Oh my god," and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like when it's skinny girls or skinny people, they eat whatever. But when it's a big person, y'all just lose y'all minds. Like y'all have like what? Like um another thing, and to touch up on my other point about people mainly do this to women but not men. I mean, people do it to men, but not as much as they do to women. I've noticed. Not to say that's how it always is, but just something I've noticed. People have like all this like negative things to say about Lizzo, but how come about like how Lizzo's promoting obesity and stuff like that? But how come they never say the same thing to like CeeLo Green or like Rick Ross or even Biggie Smalls? Biggie Smalls was like 300 pounds. Or even like Don Tolliver or Juice World, because I mean R.I.P. Juice World, because like Don Tolliver, he's a little chubby, he's a little overweight. Juice World was a little big. He was a little chubby. You know what I mean? The same people who um feel a way about how Lizzo's like a celebrity and she's living in her life and stuff like that and doing things that saying, "Oh, Lizzo, like, she's promoting obesity." Those same people have no problem with like Biggie Smalls or Rick Ross. I mean, Rick Ross had the fat jokes and stuff like that. Or people would be like, "Oh yeah, my pockets are big like Rick Ross." I would see a lot of like rap lyrics like that. But people, objectively speaking, never pressured him or dragged him or wanted him to lose weight beforehand. People just accepted that this is a talented artist and just left it at that. But with Lizzo, it's all these conversations about she needs to lose weight. Oh my god, promoting obesity. And it's like, for what? Also, the same people who feel a way about Lizzo have no problem when like rappers like Playboy Cardi and stuff or other rappers out there drink lean and do drugs and shit like that. And I like Playboy Cardi's music. I'm not trying to diss him. Don't get me wrong. They have all this energy for Lizzo, but what about the rappers who are being unhealthy by drinking lean, like Lil Wayne, Future, and all the other people, Playboy Cardi, just like all those people who are drinking lean? They will sing those lyrics along, no problem. But then they'll be like, "Oh, Lizzo needs to lose weight." Dude, your favorite rapper has probably needs to put the lean down and put the drugs down. but yet you're pressed over Lizzo for what? Like even Biggie, the notorious Big, Biggie Smalls, literally, he is seen as one of the most well respected people in rap music and hip hop culture in the East Coast, especially in New York, and people respect him no sweat, and he's 300 pounds. Like, he was over 300 pounds and he's still a very heavily well respected person. I didn't mean heavily person. No pun intended. No pun intended. When I said he was a heavily person, he was heavy. No pun intended. No pun intended. Um, Biggie Smalls was a heavily well respected person. Um, regardless of his weight. So, Biggie, his talent is what shined through. So why can't the same thing happen to, Lizzo? I do, like, when it comes to like the body positive movement, even though I do have my fair share of issues with the body positive movement and the fat acceptance movement, which I discussed, which are like, stop bashing skinny people. If people want to lose weight and be healthy and not be fat anymore, let them, and stuff like that. And people exist outside of being big and outside of being a representation queen. And like, I have my fair shares with the body acceptance movement, and it is important to acknowledge that um what is it called, medical issues that come with being overweight and stuff like that. I have my fair share of issues with the body acceptance and fat acceptance movement, and I discussed that and I acknowledge that. But to be honest, I never, like, I see a lot of people saying that the body acceptance and body positive movement are encouraging people to be fat and are promoting obesity. And to be honest, I never saw people trying to encourage people to be fat in the body positive movement. Even though I have my fair share of issues with certain parts of of certain things said in the movement, I've never seen people try to like encourage people to be fat or encourage people to like be morbidly obese and stuff. Honestly, I just saw a community of people trying to motivate people to feel positively goal oriented, reach realistic expectations when it comes to like your body and your health and so on and so forth, and to like know that your worth is not tied to your body. All I would ever hear them say, not all of what I would hear them say, but a majority or a lot of what I would hear them say, is that you can love your body and lose weight with self-care to be healthy, but you don't need to lose weight to be beautiful, because you already are beautiful. Just lose weight to be healthy, but you don't need to lose weight to be beautiful. And your self-worth and who you are and your inner beauty should not be tied to your weight. That's what I mainly hear them say. That's not all of what I hear them say, because I have my issues with the movement, but the issues that I discussed, but I don't really get the people that are saying that they're like promoting obesity. I just never saw that as one of the body positive movement's main points. Cause it's not. They're just saying love yourself and your weight is not your worth. That's literally what I got from them, not for all of the part, but for the most part. I see a lot of people who are opposed to like the body positive movement are like former fat people who became fit, and those people are like seeing how like there's more like accessible clothes for plus size people, and there's more like acceptance and self-love towards plus size people. And I guess since like that bigger person, like that formerly bigger person who became smaller, I guess since they spent so much time hating themselves, and now that they see like that bigger people love themselves, I guess they feel like, damn, did I lose weight for nothing if you can love yourself in the bigger body? I don't know if that's what it is, but I don't know. Or yeah, I guess that's why I guess some formerly fat people that are, in shape now are like upset at the self-love body positive movement. Is I guess they feel like they lost weight for like no reason. I guess that's why, I guess like they're offended because you aren't ashamed for the things that they were taught to be ashamed of. And I'm not saying like remain unhealthy, but I am saying like love yourself regardless of what you look like. And you can love yourself throughout the process of your weight loss journey. You don't have to hate yourself into losing weight, but um I guess that some people are offended when you aren't ashamed for the things that they were taught to be ashamed of. They resent you for not caring what everyone else thinks. And they think that since they dealt with like so much hatred for being fat, so much hatred when they were fat, and since they see like fat people being more loved now, they think it's as if like, oh, did I lose weight for nothing because now bigger people are being loved and stuff, so did I lose weight for nothing? I don't know if like that's what it is, but um yeah, but at the same time, trends always change of whether they like bigger girls or bigger guys or smaller girls or smaller guys or acceptance movements and stuff like that. Trends always change, so it's best to just do you. So don't lose weight to fit in because trends change all the time, or don't lose weight so like you won't have to don't lose weight to fit in, lose weight for you and lose weight to be healthy. Don't lose weight to fit in. Trends change all the time, as well as whether or not people hate or love fat people. The trends change, and lose weight for yourself. So, like, no matter what's going on, you can be proud of the weight you lost, regardless of whether like it's a trend to hate fat people and you'll be bashed. What you'll be bashed if you're fat, or it's a trend to love bigger people and you'll be loved and accepted if you're fat. Regardless of all that, lose weight for you. So regardless of whatever the trend is, you can be proud of you. You know, like I myself, like I said, I'm plus sized. I exercise. I've been exercising a lot. I'm down 10 pounds and I plan on losing so much more. But you know what? I love myself. I loved myself when I was 8 pounds heavier than I was now because I loved myself enough to respect myself to say, you know what? I need to lose some weight. I loved myself before. I love myself now. Um, and I'll love myself when I get to my goal weight. I loved myself as a big girl, and I'm loving myself as I losing weight and being into the process of being like a mid-sized kind of girl. And I will love myself in the journey, and I'll love myself when I get to my goal weight. I love myself enough, and my fitness journey does not correlate to my self worth. Like a couple weeks ago, I acknowledged I really did not like my eating habits, and they were making me sleepy, giving me less energy, making me gain weight. So I started exercising more, and I've been cooking healthy meals and eating well, and eating a lot of like, home cooked meals and stuff like that. And even when I go out, choosing healthy alternatives and stuff. And I still love myself. I will always love myself, even before I reach my fitness goal, during the time that I reach my fitness goal, and after I reach my fitness goal. Throughout the whole journey, I'm going to love myself. I see a lot of people that like hang their heads in shame until they finally get to a good weight. And that's not me. Like, I just can't do this. I can't like hate myself in the process. And I don't understand the people who do. I mean, if that's what works for you, then so be it. But I don't get that. I have to love myself throughout the process. So I guess some bigger people hate themselves until they get to the goal weight, and that's like what worked for them, but that doesn't work for me, baby. I got to love myself all throughout, and I'm going to continue to love myself and respect myself enough to know what is and is not good for me, and I acknowledge what is and isn't good for me, and I'm in the process of getting more healthy and losing weight. So, yeah. But I think I'll touch up on that a little more later. But my 11th point, I want to like talk more about the points and stuff that I had. I think I'm on my 11th point, 12th. I don't know. My next point, I'll just say my next point. I won't count it. My next point is, oh, this is a good one. I don't understand the healthcare workers and the personal trainers who hate bigger people or who drag fat people. That is literally your job as a healthcare worker or a nurse or doctor or whatever, or a personal trainer, to literally help them. I don't know much about like being a nurse or being a personal trainer or like working in healthcare or working in fitness. I really don't. And I'm sure it's not easy, and like every job has its struggles, and I'm sure people have their fair share of complaints. I get that. But like that's literally the profession that you chose. Like, do firefighters complain about saving people from burning buildings? Do engineers complain about like making code and stuff? Like, do graphic designers complain about like designing graphics? like I mean, I'm not saying you can't be upset. I'm sure that with all job fields, there's like a lot of frustrations and people just need to vent. I get that. But like I just don't get the healthcare workers that like are like, oh my god, I hate taking care of fat patients, or like the and stuff like that. Like, or personal trainers are like, oh, Like I hate like dealing with like fat, but that's literally your job. That's literally your job. Like you chose to help people. You chose to help people in need, and the people are in need and they need your help. And now you're upset about the fact that you have to help people in need when your job is to help people in need and that's what you chose to do. Like what? Nurses that complain about like fat people or fat patients or saying that they're too much to handle or like who complain about like or people nurses that are like mean to fat people or healthcare workers that are mean to fat people, they are so weird to me. Like there's way too many people in like the medical field that seriously lack like empathy, manners, and compassion, and it's so concerning. And I hate the toxic people that justify their stupidity and ignorance and bashing or disrespect towards bigger people with their credentials. Like for example, personal trainers can be like I've seen personal trainers that are like kind of meaner to bigger people. Like, ugh, that person is so big. Like, how'd you even get to that point? And blah blah blah. And oh my god, bro, like you're a personal trainer. You have to train them and help them lose weight. Like what? That's their job. Like, you know what I mean? Personal trainers, I don't get the personal trainers that are mean to bigger people and then they're like, oh, I have a certification in fitness and personal training, so yeah. Okay, but you're still a dick. Like what? Personal trainers, like I hate personal trainers that are mean to bigger people and whatnot. Like, why are you looking down at someone you are trying to help? They're not a charity case. They're people that need your help. And if you are a person that bashes bigger people, then a degree in like nursing or a personal trainer certification cannot help or justify that. You're just a shitty person that has a certification now. Like that's it. Your accolade does not mean shit. You're still an ass. And people just love to use their it's science as an excuse to be a jackass to bigger people. I never said I disagreed with science. The science is like, if you're like being overweight and being obese has complications and medical conditions that come with it. I'm not saying that I disagree with this science. I'm saying don't be an asshole to people. And just because you have a degree in nursing or a certification in personal fitness does not mean you need to be an ass and treat people like shit. Like how is being kind to people like a bad thing? Like it's literally your fucking job to like take care of people. Even if you're a nurse or a personal trainer, it's your job to help these people. That's what you chose. And that's your job. And helping someone that's larger than you is annoying to you. For fuck's sake, what should bigger people that need to go to the hospital do then? To all the nurses that hate working with bigger people, what should those people do then? Just go and die and make it easier for the nurses and doctors? Did you not realize that when you were going into the medical field, you were going to help all types of people in the medical field, regardless of size? If you had a problem with that, then maybe you shouldn't have been a doctor or a nurse in the first place. And the same thing with personal trainers as well. Like, what? And there are other medical conditions that fat people could go through that like a lot of doctors don't acknowledge, and I don't think that's really fair. Like I feel like there are I don't like people that blame like every single medical issue you go through to that like on the fact that you're big. Like they're like if I broke my leg, if I fell and like hurt my ankle and go to the doctor and I'm like, oh my god, doctor, my ankle, please, like it hurts so bad. And they're like, oh, well, lose weight and then your ankle will stop hurting. Like no, like the weight that I like carry, that has no correlation to the fact that my ankle literally just fucking broke and like I need like a cast or something. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't like doctors that like ignore the possible things that could have been happening to their patients just because the patient is big. Like I'm sure that losing weight will like definitely solve a lot of problems in terms of like cholesterol levels and like, um chances of diabetes and stuff like that. I'm sure that will definitely help with that, but that doesn't like absolve all issues that could have possibly happened to you because there are people that are completely fit and like healthy now and they still go to the doctor and have issues. So clearly that's proof that like it solves a lot but it doesn't solve everything. And with the personal trainer stuff, I don't understand personal trainers that insult their larger clients. I saw someone on TikTok and they said, "Oh, I'm a former personal trainer and I don't understand why it's wrong to call people fat." Like, why would you literally say that to like your hundreds of thousands of followers? Literally what? Why would you say that? You're literally like, why are you saying you don't understand why it's wrong to call people fat? Like, why would you ask that? You're literally hurting people and insulting their appearance, and you expect them to just take that? Like, big people know they're big, fat people know they're fat. You don't need to tell them that. Skinny people know they're skinny, tall people know they're tall, short people know they're shorter. You know, and this personal trainer on TikTok who said that they were literally complaining about the fact that she wasn't allowed to call her fat clients fat. Girl, what? Why would you insult your clients? These people are paying you. Why are you pissing the people off that are paying you, first of all? Girl, like they know they're fat. Who are you helping when you say stuff like that or when you post that? And just because you say, oh, I'm a personal trainer, I have a certification, that doesn't take away from the fact that you said something stupid and you're being dumb. Your certification in fitness does not mean you can't be an asshole. If you were an asshole before, you can't just be like, "Oh, okay, I have a certification now, so now I'm correct." I mean, yeah, you're more educated, but you're still an asshole now. You're just an asshole with a certification. You're just an asshole that's a personal trainer. Personal trainers that treat their clients like shit need to understand that you, as a personal trainer, you chose this job. They came to you for help and they're supplying your coin. They're helping you get to the bag and make your money. They're paying you. So why the fuck are you angry at them and insulting them? Do rehab specialists call their clients druggies? No. You cannot call your clients derogatory names. People need to understand that some personal trainers are not nutritionists, and just because you make other people lose weight does not mean you have a full understanding of someone's nutritional needs and medical issues. Just because you're a personal trainer does not mean you can be an asshole to treat people like shit. You know what I mean? You don't see people that are in rehab treating drug addict people the same way certain personal trainers and certain nurses would deal with their clients. You know what I mean? And that goes for nurses that no, that goes for personal trainers that give out meal plans. Is it like is it possible to give everyone a meal plan before understanding their dietary needs first? No, it is not. People need to like have an understanding of nutrition and dietary people's individual dietary needs before they just start handing out meal plans like candy on social media and in their fitness like stuff. People should ask about their dietary needs first, or if they have like a decrease in certain things like iron and stuff like that before they just start like giving out meal plans. To be anything short of a registered dietitian with like degrees and certifications, you know, and put out, excuse me, to put out meal plans and stuff like that that are like, sorry, let me start over my sentence. Sorry, I stumbled. To be anything short of like a registered dietitian with like degrees and certifications puts your meal plans out of scope for your practice. Selling meal plans, if you have not studied nutrition, or if you are not a registered dietitian, or like anything of like a registered like nutritionist person, selling any type of meal plan and stuff, and you don't understand like nutrition and stuff, is only something like that's not okay. Or even if you don't have a certification yet, someone who just doesn't understand nutrition, you know, like you can't just sell meal plans if you don't understand nutrition. Just because your body looks nice does not make you educated or intelligent. And it's kind of concerning that people are putting their health on the line for someone, for these people that are selling these kind of meal plans, that like who don't understand nutrition are selling these meal plans, and like that person doesn't even have the education or credentials to be doing that. You know what I mean? I wish meal plans online for personal trainers and stuff were more like legally regulated or something like that, so people could like, you know, be held more responsible for selling like bullshit meal plans. Workout guides and meal plans are not one size fits all, and you know, once you get a guide, it's up to you to gauge up your own strength and adjust the amounts of sets and reps you can do and adjust as needed. You know, I feel like people need to understand that. And honestly, with social media, I get that like people that have a business or a brand want to put themselves out there because it's like so much better to like and easier to like build and connect and like brand with like all these new things online and stuff like that. I get that, but honestly, I feel like not all of like the fitness industry, but some of the fitness industry with social media, like social media has made some parts of the fitness industry look like such a fucking joke. Like it looks like a joke, and it can like be so toxic sometimes, especially with certain personal trainers. Not all, but some. I saw this personal trainer one time take a screenshot of what their clients ate, which was like a burger or something, and then drag the shit out of them. They said things like, "Oh, you're trapped in a big joint mentality, and oh, we go above and beyond to help you out, and you don't want to follow through. We wake up at 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. to help y'all, and blah blah blah. And this burger is not on the meal plan. Y'all are big joints. This is big joint mentality. Fuck out of here, you biggie, and you're a big person, and blah blah." And I get that he was upset. I get that because his client like cheated on like their diet or whatever. I get that. But like that is no way to talk to a person. That is no excuse. I get that he's upset cuz he's putting in all this work and grinding just to see his client eat a burger. And like but I mean people have their cheat days, you know? Like I'm sure even like what the best athletes that work out and train the most even have their cheat days. You know what I mean? Like I get that he was upset, but he didn't need to like call that person names. You know what I mean? That's no excuse. Like, and calories in, calories out still works. Even on the crazy diets and workout regimen used by like superhero actors, they still eat comfort food from time to time. Like everybody has cheat meals. Like chill. And what kind? And like everybody has cheat meals. Like just relax. And what kind of dickhead calls their clients big joints? Like these people are paying you, and you are insulting them and calling them big joints. Why not use positive behaviors? And I couldn't like. And when I was looking all into this, why were people hiring that loser of a personal trainer? Why are they like? Why was the personal trainer beginning with such a negative attitude? You know what I mean? And why were the clients allowing the personal trainer to disrespect them and call them a big joint? I don't know about y'all, but honestly, that kind of sounds like just like a lot of like verbal attacks, and that's not cool. You can't start off with disrespecting the clients and expect the clients to like be happy with you. People were and then I saw people in the comments like on Instagram like praising it, and it was so weird to me. Like his whole brand was tearing people down and calling them big joints. Like what he said was dead wrong. How do you call your clients, aka the people who came to you for help, the people who are paying you, big joints? Do drug addiction helpers call their clients druggies? Like, do people who help people in rehab call their clients druggies? Like, what? Who would want a trainer with that mindset? Training people that calling them out of their name is supposed to be helpful is not okay. Like, what? Sometimes I ask myself, not all personal trainers, but do some personal trainers become personal trainers because like they actually want to help people get like fit and in shape? Or do they become personal trainers because they have like savior complexes? Like, do you think you're doing them a favor by looking down at them? Like, you can't view your clients as like charity cases. They're people who love and trust you, and they came to you for legitimate help because they want to get in shape and they need help. And you view them to be just like 5-year-old babies who deserve to be like insulted and like stuff like that, and big babies who don't know their left from right, and just like fat lards and shit like that. And it's like they're actual people. They are people who deserve to be loved and treated with respect, and they came to you for assistance. So why are you looking down at your clientele? Also, what if the client had like a mental health or an eating disorder issue? More personal trainers need to keep that in mind before they just start calling people big joints and fat and shit. I mean, not to say all people do, but this one really, annoyed me. But then again, I mean, personal trainers, they're not there to be therapists. They're just there to, train and get you in like fit. But I mean, I get that. But I mean, still. Yeah, that was a bit of a rant there, but I saw some things online, and I wanted to speak out on it. And I seen like certain things in person with like at the gym that I used to go to. I haven't gone anymore because there's a treadmill in my house now, so I just use that to work out. But I don't like people in gyms or fit people who treat bigger people like shit. I just don't like it. And I don't like bigger people who treat smaller people like shit. I just don't like anybody that treat people like shit. It's just not okay. I also wanted to say, and as a point, that I don't like when people body shame men. I feel like there's so much discourse and conversations behind body shaming women, but I also think that it's wrong to body shame men as well. I definitely wanted to add that. That's not too long of a point that really needs much expanding on, but I just want to say I think it's just as wrong to body shame a man as it is a woman. Um, my next point after that is that when it comes to weight loss, different methods work for different people, and weight loss is not a thing where like the same thing can work for all people. And also, people start their fitness journey for different reasons. If being shamed into weight loss worked for you, then so be it, but that will not work for everyone. Not everyone wants to be like bullied into losing weight or like hate themselves during the process. Sorry, I drank some water. I was kind of thirsty. Um, for some people, their weight loss journey could take anywhere from 1 to 2 years. So why would they want to hate themselves for that long or that long period of a time? This could also go for the conversations about people saying to lose weight so they can fit into clothes and stuff. So what, should I not wear clothes for the next 2 years? Like what? What should I do within the 2 year time frame? You know? And I guess to some people, if they lived a bad life due to weight loss, then that will encourage them to lose weight. But not everyone wants to like put a pause on their life just because they're big. So I guess when like people see like skateboards and bikes and skateboards being like more accessible for like bigger people and bikes accommodating more weights and showers being like tailored to be like wider for like wider bodies and stuff like that. I guess like when like more things are being accommodated and like there's more accessible clothes for plus size people and like more stuff is regulated to accommodate bigger people, I guess former people who like lost weight are like, damn, did I lose all this weight for no reason? You know what I mean? Because not being able to like skateboard or like not having like space in the shower or like not having like not being able to ride their bike because they're so big or due to like weight limits and stuff, I guess that was like what prompted them to lose weight. So now that all of that is accessible to them, it's like they have no incentive. But honestly, like I said before, lose weight for you, the incentive should just be to be healthy. What is you shouldn't care about what is or is not accessible to other people. Just lose weight for you and lose weight to be healthy. And people have different reasons as to why they are the weight that they are now. Not everybody, like I said at the beginning, not everybody is fat because they're depressed and have issues in their life. Some people are, some people use food to cope, and some people are, the weight that they are because they were like fat, because they were like lazy and depressed. But not everyone is the way that they are because they're depressed and lazy and have issues in their life. I personally, like I said, I have no sob story when it comes to my weight gain. I'm literally just overweight because I loved food. And now I'm not eating as healthy. I mean, not eating as healthy. Now I am eating as healthy and I'm eating better now, and I'm not as unhealthy as I used to be. um I'm learning more and more about how to practice not overeating, but the only underlying reason as to why I was big was because I love junk food and I ate it all the time. And now I literally was just always eating, and I realized, well, I need to change that. You know what I mean? If the reason why you are big is because of the fact that you're depressed and miserable and you have a shit life, like I said, I'm sorry to hear that. Honestly, I am, and I'm wishing you the best of luck with that, and with anybody listening to this is going through a hard time. I am. But the people that say shit like, oh, losing weight made me happier, honestly, speak for yourself, because just because you're doing horrible in life and you were unhealthy while you were doing horrible in life does not mean everyone who is heavy is doing horrible in life. Because, like I said, my life is lit, even at the heavy weight that I am now. And I'm still losing weight and I'm still living a lit life. Not lit in terms of like food and being unhealthy and stuff like that, living a lit life in the terms of like my life is awesome, like I have a lot of fun all the time, you know what I mean? I'm totally. What was that? Oh my god, guys, hold on, I think I heard something. Hold on. Oh shit, never mind. I could have sworn I heard something. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Okay, so where was I? My life is lit, not in terms of like getting lit like drugs and alcohol and shit like that, because I don't do that much, honestly. I don't really do that, but my life is lit. Like my life is fun. I'm not really like I really don't have much complaints. But like I said, I lost 10 pounds. I plan on losing a lot more, and I'm doing a pretty great job so far. It's gonna take me somewhat around 9 months to lose all the weight I want to lose, and I don't know about y'all, but I can't be sad for those 9 months. I can't just hold my head, in sorrow for those 9 months, or hold my head hollow for those 9 months. Um, I see a lot of people complaining of that the body positive movement celebrates unhealthy bodies, and people should be shamed into losing weight if their body is unhealthy. So I see a lot of people that combat the oh no fat shaming. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, fat people do deserve to be shamed because they need to get healthier." I don't know about you, but I can't shame myself into losing weight. I can't look in the mirror and hate myself for 9 months. I love myself and I love my body while still acknowledging that, I have to work on it. Both can be true, and many people do not get that. If you found the workout method that works for you and going through those health for those 9 months worked for you, then hey, awesome, more power to you if that's what helps you lose weight. Um, if you believe that loving yourself regardless of whatever condition that you may be in is a bad thing, honestly that's on you, because I disagree. If you didn't want to love yourself on your weight loss journey and you only wanted to love yourself once you got into a certain point in your weight or a certain weight loss point, then do you. But I plan on loving myself regardless of what stage I am in my weight loss journey is in, because my health, my worth is not defined by my weight. Only I'm just losing weight to get healthier, not to love myself. And honestly, if that's what helped you to lose weight and to feel better about yourself by like shaming yourself and bullying yourself and speaking down on yourself every day, then do you. But you can't expect all people to do the same. I can't soak in my sorrows and be sad. Fuck that. I only have one body. I only have one life. I'm not gonna waste the next 9 months that it's gonna take, because it's gonna take me about 9 months to get to my goal weight for what I'm losing a month, and what I want to be. It's going to take about 9 months. I cannot take those 9 months and waste all those time hating my body. Like I can't look in the mirror every day and like for the next 9 months and hate myself. I can dislike certain things about myself and want to improve it without straight up hating myself and hating who I am. I love myself and I need to improve that. And improve, not I love myself and I need to just improve my body. That's all it is to me. And I acknowledge that, and that's okay. If you would not go about it the same way, then so be it. But that's what works for other people. Other people do not want to be shamed into losing weight. Some people shame themselves into losing weight and some don't. And there's no one size fits all for weight loss. So you can't like be like, oh, this is what worked for me and it will work for everyone else too. For some people, losing weight made them happy. And the nonsense and the fucked up things, not fucked up things, but like all the things they couldn't do when they were big, encouraged them to lose weight. And for other people, they're happy throughout the entire weight loss process without having to bash themselves. And some people are only happy at the end. Honestly, that's you. But for me, I just can't do that. I saw that a lot on Reddit, and I can't like hate myself to the day I die, or like to the day I finally lose weight. Like no. That's just not me. The fact that Reddit had a problem with like the simple fact that overweight people had self-esteem, it gives me so much anxiety. If people want to have a conversation about being overweight, about being overweight being dangerous, or like being overweight being dangerous to someone's health and stuff like that, we can definitely have that conversation. And yes, the dangers of being overweight should not be like sugar coated. Being overweight in certain aspects, like certain things of being overweight comes with health conditions, and it's not healthy to be obese. We get that. And being overweight is, it just comes with health conditions. Like it's unhealthy. We get that. But even though I myself am big, I've already acknowledged that I have a problem and I'm in the process of fixing it. And that's okay. Like you can't just take away my self-esteem just because I'm big. You know what I mean? Like even like the Lizzo thing. Like Lizzo, she gets all this negativity about making songs for loving yourself, and it's so stupid. Like that song Soulmate, it's such a cool song. And like I'm sure it makes a lot of people feel good about herself, where she's like, I am my own soulmate. I know how to love me. And all this other and stuff like that. She didn't sit there and say, oh my God, I love the fact that I have high cholesterol levels, and I love the fact that I'm more at risk for diabetes. All she said was I love myself, and that was it. Yeah, you go on Reddit and online on social media and you see people that are opposed to this. For what? All she said was that I have self esteem. I'm not saying that I'm okay with being unhealthy. I'm just saying I have self esteem. They're two completely different things. And to all the people that were upset with Lisa for that song, are you upset when Rick Ross like goes in the studio and raps about I'm that nigga, fuck with me, you know I got it, period. I'm that nigga, like I'm really like it and stuff like that. When he has self esteem and confidence, do you complain? No. So let's not complain when it comes to Lizzo, you know? My next point is that even though certain things are becoming accessible to bigger people, I think there are so much more things that I think should be accessible to bigger people, and I think like society should like accommodate bigger people more. I know people listening to this are just gonna be like, "Oh, we'll just lose weight." Okay, yeah, but losing weight takes months, and people still need access to things within those months. Stores need to do a better job about carrying clothes for heavier people. I mean, a lot of them do that already, but not all. And they can make so much more money if they did because like more people would buy their stuff, you know? And before anyone go like, you know, I know people are going to be like just lose weight, just lose weight. Okay, yes, but in the process of me losing weight, I might like have like a wedding to go to or an event to go to and I might need a dress. And if all the dresses don't fit me, what am I going to do? Like stay in the house until like the next year and then I'm done with all the weight I'm losing and stuff like that. Like no. You need something and you need it now. You know what I mean? Um People need clothes on their back and things to be accessible to them regardless of size. And I know people listening are going to be like, if things were more accessible, people won't have an incentive to lose weight because if you can't fit anything, then it's like, okay, I can't fit anything, I have to lose weight. I mean, people still need to like do things while they're losing weight, even if it takes almost 2 years for somebody to lose the weight that they need to lose. What should they do within the meantime? Like even like with all the discourse behind like making airplane seats bigger, people are like, "Oh, just lose weight." So within like the year that it takes to someone losing weight, are they not going to travel? You have to travel. If you need to travel, you need to travel. What if there was an emergency and you had someone in another state that you needed to go see and you can't see them because oh the airplane was too big. The plane seats were too big and I had to like buy 2 tickets. But what if you don't have the money for 2 tickets? You know, like people should make like airplane seats bigger and stuff to accommodate bigger people. And people are gonna be like, "Oh, but just lose weight, just lose weight." Yes, I'm doing that, and it's not gonna be an overnight thing. It's gonna take some time, and within that time, I might want to travel. So, you know, like things should be more accessible to them. Um, I see, and another thing, I see people complain about accommodations that have to be made for bigger people, but y'all do not have the same energy or the same complaints for people that make accommodations for smokers. People have complained about the weight limit, like people, like I've seen bigger people complain about the weight limit for rides at amusement parks, and then like when people. I've seen people who like have a rebuttal to that and they'll say like, "Oh, then just lose weight." Okay, but then why do amusement parks have designated smoking areas? Why can't we take the smoking areas away and then just be like, "Oh, just put down the cigarette." Just put down the cigarette. Why are there designated smoking areas? Just put down the cigarette. I mean, honestly, when it comes to like people that have food addictions versus people that have drug addictions, I mean, I'm not trying to play a who has it worse game. And I hope everyone listening to this that's ever had an addiction, regardless of what it is, I wish you the best of luck with your addiction, and I hope that you know, heal and I wish you the best of luck. And I'm not trying to play the who has it worse game, but we as humans, we all need food. We don't all need nicotine. Having McDonald's is not the same thing as snorting a line of Coke, okay? So, you know, you people need to eat, but you don't need to smoke. You don't need to do drugs. You don't need nicotine. If they made electronic cigarettes and all these other accommodations for people with drug addictions, then I don't know what's wrong with making all these accommodations for people with food addictions. Y'all make electronic cigarettes. Y'all made electronic cigarettes to stop people from smoking. Like y'all did all that to help them. Y'all did the thing that like what's the thing that like smokers have, like the people that like smoke too long that their throat is raspy and then they help they talk through their throat and like they sound like this and they sound like they sound like this. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they sound like their voice sounds kind of auto-tuney. There were all of these like technologies and stuff like that that were made to help people struggling with nicotine addictions, and help people that like help smokers and stuff like that. There was all of these things invented to help them. There were all these accommodations to help them, and then y'all draw the line at bigger people. People don't want to make bathtubs wider. People don't want to make showers wider. People don't want to make airplane seats bigger. Y'all draw the line. But electronic cigarettes, which were made to help people, to help stop people from smoking real cigarettes and stuff like that originally, or all the accommodations made for smokers, that's $1 million industry. But people don't want to help big people. People don't want to make accommodations for bigger people. What? Every single argument said about why we should not make accommodations for bigger people is also an argument that could be said about a drug addict or a smoker. Like y'all, like people will smoke and drink and stuff like that, and there'll be accommodations for them, and even health insurance can sometimes cover people with addictions and stuff like that. But if you're too big, you need to just sit there and lose all the weight first in order to continue enjoying life and doing regular things and having doctors help you outside of like your weight, and having them look past certain things besides your weight to look at like certain things that may be wrong with you. I mean, I know that being overweight comes with complications, but like what I mean? Like, there still could be complications that are not correlated to weight. You know what I mean? Like smokers, they get all this sympathy, but people with like actual like food addictions and stuff like that, or bigger people, don't get sympathy for what? The same people that are saying we don't need to make the we don't need to accommodate amusement park rides for bigger people. Bigger people should just lose weight. The same people will sit there and not have a problem with designated smoking areas in amusement parks. If y'all are saying just lose weight, okay, then just put the cigarette down. You know what I mean? If I had a nicotine addiction, I would get all the sympathy. But if I'm too big and I have a food addiction, it's like, oh well, then lose weight, fatty. Like what? Like I said, I'm not trying to play the who has it worse game, but I'm pretty sure that eating McDonald's or having a cheeseburger is not the same thing as like literal nicotine. Like I'm pretty sure like going to McDonald's and eating some fries is not the same thing as like smoking a pack a day. You know what I mean? I'm sure both like being overweight and being a drug addict has their fair share of like complications and stuff like that. But if I gain weight, I can just lose it. If you smoke and you get lung cancer, you can't reverse that. I mean, you can help. There are things that you can do to help. There are things there are accommodations that can be made, but once you have it. I mean, like once your lungs are fucked up, like. But I mean, what? Either way, whatever. I'm not trying to play the who has the worst game, and like I said, I'm not trying to be condescending to anyone that like struggles with addiction. I'm wishing for you all the best. Um, where was I? Sorry, I'm trying to see where I was. But yeah, I don't get why drug addicts get sympathy but food addicts don't. Like fat people or bigger people still deserve like to be treated like human beings and stuff like that. Not, like shit. My next point is that I think people should lose weight for health reasons and not appearance reasons. Like the reason because it's gross or because people find you unattractive. That's the stupidest reason to tell a fat person to lose weight. You should lose weight for your health and for yourself, not because of what other people find attractive. Every time like someone complains about why being fat is wrong, they always use like the top two following reasons. Reason number one, it's scientifically proven to be unhealthy and it can lead to heart disease, diabetes, cholesterol, blah, blah, etc. Number two, it's physically unattractive and gross. The first reason actually makes sense. Like, there actually are things wrong with, like, like there are things that, like, there's unhealthy things or things that could possibly happen to your body in a bad way, if you're, like, overweight and, like, extremely overweight and stuff. But the second reason, there's so many like wrong things with like the second reason. The whole it's physically unattractive and gross. And allow me to explain why. People always say, oh, people won't find you fat. People won't find you attractive if you're fat. But attraction is subjective. Some people might find someone who's a little overweight to be attractive, and another person won't. There is literally an entire porn category dedicated to people who find bigger people attractive. There's lots of men who are chubby chasers and men who like BBW women. There's lots of women who like dad bods. And lots of people think, there are bigger people out there that are sexy and hot. So the whole fat people are gross, that's not even a fact that can be scientifically proven. It's just an opinion. You cannot use science to prove the statement being fat is unattractive. This is an opinion that varies from person to person, or like statistically, like may like be it's an opinion because everybody looks different, and like it's honestly just an opinion. It's an opinion, not a fact, and there's no scientific data behind people thinking fat is like ugly. There's no scientific evidence behind like there's actual scientific evidence behind why being fat is unhealthy. There's like evidence for that, but there's no scientific data behind being fat being like ugly or unattractive, because ugly and unattractive is subjective. You know what I mean? There's science behind why eating unhealthy is bad for you. There's no science behind why being fat is like ugly. You know what I mean? There's still science behind thinking someone is pretty or ugly or fuckable or non fuckable. Um, what is what is subjectively considered attractive is not the same thing as what is objectively considered healthy. Some people might find an anorexic person sexy. Does that mean supermodels should remain anorexic and starve themselves to be considered sexy? No. Some people think smoking cigarettes make people look sexy and edgy. Should nicotine addicts continue to kill their lungs just because other people think their addiction is sexy? No. And the reason why I think that the whole lose weight because it's attractive if you're a certain this and blah blah. I don't like another reason why I don't like that is because it insinuates that you should change your appearance to please others. The overall reason why someone should lose weight is for themselves. You should lose weight because you want to get in shape, not to please others. Also, what if you lose weight and people don't like it? Like, it's impossible to please everyone. I knew a girl who lost like 30 pounds, and even though she was never like fat, she was just, kind of thick. She went from being like thick, like a thick girl, like juicy, thick thighs, legs, and everything, and like big boobs and stuff like that. Well, she still has her boobs. She went from being like that kind of thick girl to being like slim thick and like thin, like fit thick, like slim thick, and she's like fit. Oh, what is tongue twister? Slim thick fit, slim thick fit, slim fit thick. Oh my god. I'm sorry, what a tongue twister. But she went from being like curvy thick kind of to like being like skinny and thick and being like a slim thick person that's still fit and like kind of like a little thinner. And guess what? I saw a lot of people in her Instagram comments saying, "Oh my god, you're too skinny now. You need to go back to being thick. I miss your thicker body." So for those of you who think weight loss will always be met with praise, you're quite mistaken. Cause I saw that girl and she lost 30 pounds, and people were saying like, "Oh my god, she's not even sexier. She needs to go back to her body. She lost like weight in her butt and blah blah." And it's like, duh, you're gonna lose weight everywhere if you lose weight, duh. Like, you know what I mean? But guess what? She didn't lose those 30 pounds to please people. She lost those 30 pounds because that's what's best for her and that's what's healthiest for her body. You know? Moral of the story is you shouldn't give a flying fuck about who will and will not find you hot before or after you lose weight and stuff. Some people will think you're hot afterwards, some people will think you were hot before. You can't please everyone. And you know what I mean? The fact that people would even insinuate that others should lose weight to be sexier instead of to be healthier just proves how entitled some people are. You do not owe it to strangers to be sexually attractive to them. People have no right to come up to you and explain to you how your body is negatively perceived by them. That's their problem, not yours. It's not your responsibility to make sure literal strangers get turned on by your body. Some guys like small tits. Does that mean that all the girls that have big tits should go and get a breast reduction? No. Some girls like guys with dimples. Does that mean that girls should tell guys without dimples to go get plastic surgery in their cheeks to form dimples? No. You owe beauty to nobody, and nobody owes beauty to you. The reason why, this came across me is because like I see so many people who lost weight, and the things that they say like when they like finally like post their before and after pictures of weight loss is like, oh, my boss or my mailman or my friend or my coworker made a comment about my weight, and like, oh, they mistaked me for being pregnant, or oh, like they made a comment about my weight, and that's what really sparked me and spiraled me and really inspired me to lose weight. And it's like, okay, I get that people did like different people have like they're like different wake up calls and like awakenings and stuff. But how come your doctor wasn't the wake up call that you needed? Random strangers telling you how your body affects how they perceive you can quote unquote encourage you to change. But someone who studied this for years and has degrees and certifications in health related topics was not the person who encouraged you to change your mind. Had the nurse or no, not the nurse, had the boss or the mailman or the coworker or the friend not said anything, would you have still wanted to change? And also, how come looking in the mirror every day and being personally unsatisfied with your body wasn't the wake up call? Your health has zero effect on random strangers, and yet these same strangers have the power to encourage you to get healthy, and you don't have the power within yourself to encourage yourself to get healthy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, lose weight for yourself and not for someone else. Like, fuck people's opinion. Because if they're gone or if that person didn't say anything, would you have had an incentive to lose weight or to want to be healthy? Like I knew a girl that said like, "Oh, I my boss thought I was pregnant, so I lost weight." So that person that boss that told me that was a blessing in disguise because now I'm skinny and I owe it all to him. I owe it all to him, like uh mistaking me for a pregnant person. And then people, the problem is like when people say stuff like that, people who are seeing like reading that, they'll see that and think that their comments on their like rude comments and their comments on people's bodies is like okay because they're thinking, okay, I'm helping this person because I'm informing them on how much they need to lose weight, and they're going to do it because, oh, I saw it work on other people. And it's like, no, I saw it work on other people. And it's like, no, it's not okay. So many people think that, like, a huge reason why people should lose weight is to be, like, more attractive, as if it's a crime for someone to not be considered sexually attractive to them. Who gives a fuck what you're attracted to? People do not have to alter themselves to make sure you are attracted to them. And if you have a problem with that, then I don't know what to tell you. It is not anyone's responsibility to make sure that you get aroused by their body, or that yeah, but that you get aroused by their body. You know, I've seen so many people complain that fat people are unattractive. Right? Do you at my job? Literally, I see so many married fat women. I know so many fat women with husbands. I know so many fat men with husbands. I know so many fat people in relationships. So all y'all saying that if you're fat, you're not gonna get a man, honey, somebody likes it. Okay, because I see so many bigger people at my job who are plus size and they're in relationships that come with their kids. And they shop. And you know what I mean? I work at a department store. Well, not a department store, not a grocery store kind of slash department store place. But yeah, um, I see so many people in relationships, and I see so many people that bash people online and saying like, oh, no man would ever like want you if you look like that and blah blah. But I see so many fat people in relationships. I mean, even I myself, at the weight that I am now, I have had people like in my DMs in my private messages on Facebook telling me that I look beautiful and sexy, and even at the weight that I'm at now, like I've had people like ask me out like on Facebook and even on Instagram, tell me like DM me privately and be like, oh my god, this was such a sexy picture and blah blah blah. So to all the people that are saying, oh, it's because lose weight, because it's ugly or it's unattractive to be big. The weight I'm at now, and I still have a lot of more weight to lose, and I'm going to lose. I still have people that find me attractive. So that argument is null and void. Like literally the only reason you should lose weight is to be healthy and to do what's right for you. Every other reason to find a man, to be considered sexy, blah blah, those reasons have been debunked. There are fat people that have men, loyal, loving men. There are fat people that have husbands, and there are fat people that have wives, and all this other. And there's fat people that still get asked out and still get hit on. So somebody thinks they're sexy. Like every single reason has been debunked. Therefore, the only reason to lose weight is to be healthy. You know what I mean? Um, Yeah, like the only reason. That's the only reason you should lose weight is to be healthy. The worst type of this is my next point. The worst type of like quote unquote like fit person or gym rat, if you will, is the person that like makes or like even like thin people, not even people that go to the gym, but like thinner people. The worst type of person for that is a person that like makes fun of fat people for what they wear. Who cares? Who cares about what bigger people wear? Who cares about whether they wear leggings or what type of clothing or crop tops or like who cares about what they put on or how they put it on? Like who gives a fuck? I think recently like somebody I saw this on YouTube. There was like that one guy from Riverdale, the show Riverdale, and he said years ago that he thinks like bigger girls shouldn't wear leggings. It was years ago, so it doesn't matter. Like I'm not really like a huge fan of cancel culture. Um, I'll make a podcast episode about cancel culture later, but let's stay on topic. It was years ago, so it doesn't matter. But like, just like as an example, he said like he thinks that bigger people should not wear like leggings and shit like that. What correlation does what you wear have to do with health? I don't exist to please you. Anybody can wear leggings. Leggings are comfortable. Like what? I mean, people are entitled to their opinion, but when people are like lose weight for your health, people like this is what I mean, y'all. Like lose weight for your health because people have all these other reasons that just don't make sense or are debunked. Like some people don't even highlight that being obese is like medically like has medical like health effects on you that are negative. That literally are just like, hey guys, don't be one of those fat diabetic people or else people won't be attracted to you. Or hey, lose weight because that outfit that you look in, I don't like it on you or I don't like it on your body type. How does someone's personal attraction preferences have any correlation to the overall health and well-being of a person? The overall reason why being obese is not okay is due to the fact that it has serious complications to one's health, or like the reason why it's not even obese but even overweight and stuff like that. The overall number one reason is because it has health complications, not because it's unattractive. The reason why people should lose weight and become healthier is so their health can improve, not to be considered attractive to others. What gets your dick hard or your pussy wet, or makes you what turns you on body wise when it comes to people's bodies has zero correlation to someone's health. Why are people so obsessed with informing someone that they aren't attracted to someone? Who gives a fuck what you think? Who cares if you think someone in a certain size should not wear a certain type of clothing? I mean, people are entitled to their opinion, but people are also gonna wear what they want. Deal with it. You know, you're entitled to your opinion, and people are entitled to wear what they want. Who cares? You know, like if you want to talk about what you think is sexy, that's fine. But what correlation does what you find attractive have to the physical health of a person? When a person decides to get in shape, they should not be thinking to themselves, "Oh, hey, I need to improve my health." They shouldn't have to sit. Sorry. When a person is deciding to get in shape, they need to be thinking to themselves, "Hey, I need to improve myself." They do not need to be thinking of themselves as, "Hey, I need to get rid of this fat body so other people can approve of it." Because what other people find attractive is not something that should be kept in mind. What you want for yourself and the goals that you want to set for yourself is what should be kept in mind. What you tell yourself what you want to do, what your doctor tells you should is and is not healthy, and the health risks of what is and is not the health risk of being overweight and obese is the only thing that should be going through your mind when you want to go through a weight loss journey and a fitness journey. That's the only thing. When you go to your doctor and they tell you the health risk that you're facing due to like your overweightness, they're not going to sit there and be like, "Oh, we've gotten a lot of complaints about people not being attracted to you because you have rolls and because you're overweight and stuff." They're going to tell you, "Hey, this is what it is." You know what I mean? They're going to tell you the simple dangers of being overweight in correlation to your health, not in correlation to, appearance and attraction. I think this my next point, I think this is my second to last point. My second to last point is um not everyone has time to work out at a particular certain points in their lives, especially new parents. I mean, I'm not a parent, but especially new parents. So I mean, now don't get me wrong, I don't want to discourage anyone who's listening to this that working out doesn't work or it's impossible to do. It's always possible. You only need like 30 minutes out of your day, but some people really just don't have time to work out, or working out is not the current priority for them. Like, you know what I mean? Some people don't have time. I'm not saying it's impossible to incorporate it into your, schedule. It's always possible. But some people, like, working out just isn't their priority because they have so much shit on their plate. So even if somebody's big, they might like lose it like next year. This year might be like a rough year for them. You know what I mean? Um some people really do not have time to work out, or working out like isn't possible in their current work schedule. You know what I mean? Like some people work like 12-hour shifts and shit. And like bigger, like people that are fit or like in shape or like thinner people and stuff like that, they need to understand that times are hard out here, honestly. And working out may not be a priority for some people. Some people have 12-hour shifts, some people have bills to pay, some people like have nonstop like jobs and like stuff like that are like really demanding and shit. Like some people have just shit to do, and working out just isn't like the main priority for them in their life at that point. And that's okay. Like seriously, like it doesn't make people lazy. It just means that working out isn't a priority for their point in their life right now. And now I'm not saying that at any given point in life you're too busy to work out. It's never too busy to just take like 30 minutes out of your day, like 3 times out of the week, to just do like one thing and like get up and do something. It's always possible. And to anyone listening to this, I don't want someone with a busy schedule to be like, "Oh, Lee said that, um if you're busy, you don't have to work out. So maybe let me just not work out because it's impossible with my schedule." I don't want to discourage you. It's always possible. And you can always like find time to do, whatever you need to do. Um, but even still, like working out just isn't like a priority in like everyone's life at certain points in their life. They might want to like lose weight next year, and that's okay. And they don't have to explain that to you. It also doesn't make them lazy. It just means working out just isn't a priority for them. Even me, when I was in school, I was busy as hell. And now that I graduated, I have a lot more time to like do me and shit. Not saying it's impossible to have a healthy school and workout balance, because I mean, I feel like I said this a million times before, but I'm going to say it again. I don't want anyone listening to this to think that it's impossible to be in school or like to have a busy schedule and lose weight, because it's very much possible. And I don't want the people that are on a fitness journey and are in school to become like discouraged and stuff. But it is easier to work out when you don't have to worry about certain things, you know? Wait, hold on. I think I heard something. Hold on. Shit, I could have sworn I heard something. I'm sorry. But anyway, like I said, I don't want people that are on I don't want people that are on a fitness journey and are in school to become discouraged. But it's easier when you don't have to worry about a lot of things. But even if you do have to worry about a lot of things and you have like a schedule that's kind of busy, there's it's still possible. But if for you it's just not a priority to you, and like it's not something that like you can really do at the moment, it's something that like you just don't have time for, that's okay. I just want to make sure that I say this because I don't want people to be like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna be stuck big forever" and stuff like that. Like, no, I just don't want people to get discouraged. Um, yeah, but just don't. I just think that like to people who judge people that are big, they might be waiting to lose the weight next year, or like in a couple of better months when they're at a more situated place in their lives. Um, Maybe they're just in a rough patch in their life and they don't deserve to be, bashed for that and stuff like that. But either way, regardless, I don't want to discourage people. I don't want to discourage people that are like currently really in a busy schedule, and I don't want to discourage you and be like, "Oh, you're too busy to like lose weight and stuff like that." Like, no, I don't want to discourage people. If it came off that way, I'm sorry. um but yeah, it's okay to be supportive and helpful for people who are not working out currently, and they don't, they shouldn't have to feel like they're failures just because they're not working out and stuff like that. Not everyone has the time, you know what I mean? So they don't deserve to feel like failures, and maybe they're just waiting till they get to a more situated point in their lives, and they don't deserve to be treated like shit, because of that. Um, yeah. So my 17th and final point. Um, for what smaller people do to bigger people that I don't like, or like fitness people do that I like may not necessarily like. Um I feel as though not everyone was even meant to be skinny. I'm not saying everyone was meant to be morbidly obese, but not everyone was meant to be skinny. Some people are just a little larger, and that's okay. Like I said, I'm not saying you have to be like morbidly obese, but not everyone was meant to be skinny or stick thin. Not everyone wants to be skinny or stick thin. And I should not have to be a certain size in order to be treated like a human being. And neither should anyone. Honestly, not everyone wants a like straight up thin body. And as long as your cholesterol levels are down and like you're healthy with your doctor and stuff, what's the problem? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to you if other people are like big or small or whatever they are. The choice of one's body and to love one's own body is an individual decision to make. Furthermore, on the topic of health, living longer doesn't mean you're going to be happier. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, lose weight to live longer," but no, you should lose weight to live longer. But it's also important to be happy. If the decision is a fully happy life, but they may not have lived as long as they're happy and stuff like that. Like it's better off to live a life that's good than bad, regardless of like longevity. You know what I mean? I mean, still, it's still good to aim for like living longer, but I just want to say that because I see a lot of people say, like, oh, lose weight to live longer, which is true, but also be happy in your life that you're living as well. Um, my life and my body and everyone else's, for that matter, does not exist for society to tell me that I am beautiful. And the same thing for everybody else. Everybody should just know that they're beautiful. If people with like non-conforming or non-conventionally attractive body types also wish to feel beautiful, who is anyone to tell them that they're not? Many certain body types may spark conversations and stuff like that, or may like have people feel a way, even though it shouldn't. But at the end of the day, it does not endanger. So yeah. All right, so that pretty much sums up all of everything I needed to say for Lee's unpopular opinions today. Woo, this was a pretty long episode. So if you got, this far, I just want to say thank you to listening to me ramble about my opinions and stuff. I think I'm past like 2 hours and 30 minutes at this point. Wow, that was a lot of talking. But yeah, like I said, to summarize everything in conclusion, when it comes to, the fit people versus the thin people and gym rat people versus like fat people or lazy, not even lazy, but people who just don't go to the gym like that. When it comes to those two people and the skinny versus big people and blah blah and the body positive movement, I think both fit people and bigger people, not even fit people, but I think both thin people and bigger people are both annoying in their own ways. I think that there are certain things that fit people do that are annoying. I think there are certain things that skinny people do that are annoying. I think there are certain things that bigger people do that are annoying. I think the body positive movement, like, kind of like, it started off well at first, and it went from like it's okay to love yourself and love your body, and you don't have to be thin to be considered beautiful. You don't have to be anything to be considered beautiful. Just be yourself and stuff like that. But it went from that to like people like like taking that as saying like it's okay to be unhealthy, and then the people who don't think that it's okay to be unhealthy and it's not, they took that and now they bash the bigger people, and that's not okay either. And like everybody deserves to be treated with respect regardless of whether you're skinny or fat or where you are in your fitness and health journey and shit like that. And that's all I just want to summarize. Fat or thin, I also don't get the people who are mad at people for just existing. I don't get the people who come across a fit girl and just think that like their body's an unrealistic body standard and stuff like that, and I don't get all the discourse behind that. Thin people exist and it's not that big of a deal. Like, I don't get the problem with thin people existing. And I also get the people who just hate fat people unprovoked. I don't get that. Some of them are just trying to make a change and they don't need to explain that to you. Shame does not work for most people when it comes to weight loss, and all it does is make them feel like shit. So stop shaming people um for existing, and stop bashing what they look like. And no, I don't think you're asking to find them attractive. I don't think they're asking for you to find them attractive, because you don't have to find them attractive. I just think they're asking you to not bash them. And I get taking a stand against unrealistic body standards, but I don't get the fat girls, or not even fat girls, but fat people in general who hate skinny people that just exist. Like, how do you hate people just for existing? Like, you shouldn't bash skinny people or big people. And yeah, that pretty much sums up everything I needed to say. I don't get people that bash people who are thin. I don't get people who bash people who are big. I don't get people who bash people unprovoked, and I don't get people who bash people just for existing. It does not make sense. Um, yeah, all right. That wraps up episode 5 of Lee's Unpopular Opinions podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I am so happy and appreciative to all of you guys for listening in. And also, I will try my hardest to be more consistent and try to post at least every 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much. See you guys next time.